Part 21. Participating in a love show, this little guy is too down to earth. Author, Buletin Shi Swan Shi Shui Xian. Chapter 201. Hiccup. Gu Huiyan was a little full. The portions served at roadside stalls are often very large. Gu Huiyan has been a little hungry since she was busy with work recently. She only ate half a portion and felt a little full. Of course, it could also be drinking Sprite. You. When she saw him, Shang Xuan was so angry that she didn't know what to say. Her pretty, doll-like face had a strange expression, and she seemed to be hesitant to speak. I know there is a celebration party tonight, but I'm just too hungry. Gu Huiyan scratched his head. After lunch, he didn't have dinner until 8 or 9 in the evening. Forget about him, any ordinary person would be hungry. Well. Shang Xuan was finally angry. She should know that Gu Huiyan has always been like this. She raised her jade hand to cover her forehead and said with a wry smile. Looking at how well you performed tonight, I won't argue with you. With that said, she walked up to Gu Huiyan with a smile. She had just come off the stage, and before she had time to change her clothes, she was still wearing the same tight-fitting top and shorts. She raised her jade hand, took Gu Huiyan's arm, and said while pulling him away. Let's go, let's celebrate the victory. Shang Xuan is also quite tall, a little over 1.7 meters tall, and has a large frame. Because of this, even if she is not very light, it is not obvious how fat she is. People say she is the human Barbie, and they are right. There is always a relatively strong fragrance on her body, which is not as refreshing as Pei Jingshu's. It is a slightly wild fragrance, as if it wants to bring out the beast deep in people's hearts. Seeing Shang Xuan pulling him away so happily, Gu Huiyan couldn't bear to distance himself from her. She is always so enthusiastic and lively, she expresses what she wants directly. If she likes him, she will want to stick to him and hold his hand at any time. Gu Huiyan just let her pull him to meet up with several teammates, and then they took a car together to the hotel where the celebration banquet was held. One thing to say, while in the car, Gu Huiyan felt that Shang Xuan, Su Xiun, Shen Yuqi, and Han Xianji were all a bit excited. Excited? Well, that's pretty much it. As if they were on stimulants, they were chattering about the interesting things that happened during the concert just now, and they would burst into laughter from time to time. He didn't even care that Gu Huiyan was beside him, and the topics he talked about were occasionally naughty. Even Han Xianji, who was usually a bit dazed, stopped being in a daze and had a lot of fun chatting with them. Gu Huiyan observed it carefully and couldn't help but smile. It's not like they're taking stimulants anymore. In fact, they just came off the concert and their excitement hasn't faded yet. At a concert with tens of thousands of people, they would be in a state of excitement from beginning to end for several hours. Even now that the performance is over, they cannot calm down at all. My body has adapted to that kind of excitement. To be honest, Gu Huiyan was a little envious of their state at this time. After all, it was a state they only achieved after being in a concert and interacting enthusiastically with the audience for several hours. Occasionally, while smiling, they would also praise Gu Huiyan's performance tonight. I especially praised him when he appeared in the prelude to Sunny Day and from beginning to end of Reverse War. Gu Huiyan laughed and said, yes, that's right. He agreed with them without being disrespectful. Seeing that he was just doing business, the sweet pink-haired girl Su Xiun couldn't help but ask. Brother Huiyan, do you think there is still a lot of yin in our car now? Gu Huiyan was a bit silent for a while, but they were giggling happily. I don't know if she was just having fun, but Shen Yuqi, the beautiful little fox with short hair, even said. How about we eat him in the car? Han Xianji nodded and said, the four of us can definitely do it. Ha ha. Then they laughed in unison. They seemed to like teasing Gu Huiyan. In the end, Shang Xuan couldn't stand it anymore and took the initiative to pull Gu Huiyan to sit in the back. It didn't scare you, did it? In the back seat of the bus, Shang Xuan said with a smile. They are usually like this. They are so happy after the performance. Don't take what they say at ease. How come? Gu Huiyan shook his head and smiled. Seeing his shy look, Shang Xuan couldn't help but pat him and said with a smile. Why do you feel so shy when I see you this time? What's going on with you? When did you become so foreign to me? Is there any? Gu Huiyan scratched his head. In fact, it feels like it's not that he has lost his social skills, but that these women are too social and are causing him social anxiety. Of course. Shang Xuan pouted her little mouth, and she didn't know whether it was because she had not lost her excitement on the stage or because she wanted to tease Gu Huiyan, but she actually opened her arms to Xiong and said. Otherwise, if you give me a hug, I will believe that you are gone. Gu Huiyan. Her plan was so loud that Gu Huiyan heard it in outer space. Laugh. It is not difficult to see that Shang Xuan is really happy tonight. It seems that the effect of tonight's program is really good. She seems to have really forgotten the existence of Pei Jingshu and thinks that Gu Huiyan is hers. At this time, they were sitting in the back seat of the bus. Su Xiun, Shen Yuki, and Han Zionji were chatting animatedly in front and did not notice them at all. I don't know if I forgot, but the driver didn't turn on the lights either. The dim street lights outside the window occasionally shone through the curtains on Gu Huiyan's face and Shang Xuan's body. In this corner where no one was paying attention, there was no private moment captured by the camera, and Shang Xuan suddenly wanted to kiss Gu Huiyan. That's exactly what she did. She held Gu Huiyan's chin with both hands, tilted her head slightly, and kissed him with her little mouth pouted. At that time, Gu Huiyan's eyes widened, his pupils tightened, and then he tilted his head and avoided Shang Xuan before he was about to kiss him. Yes. That's right. He ducked. He knew that doing this would displease Shang Xuan, and he couldn't bear to displease her all night long, but now this was really different from before. He can't kiss Shang Xuan. In the narrow back seat of the bus, which was dimly lit with only the occasional street light shining in, Shang Xuan, who had not kissed Gu Huiyan, felt as if a basin of cold water had been poured down on her. There was silence for a moment. The smile on his face disappeared instantly. She seemed to have suddenly come out of the state of excitement she felt just after coming off the stage. Yes. She was so excited. I was so excited that I forgot that Gu Huiyan was a boy with a girlfriend. I was so excited that I forgot Pei Jingshu's existence. She should know that Gu Huiyan likes Pei Jingshu very much, and she should know that what she is doing now is setting him up for injustice. After Crystal Love season ended, she also thought about never seeing Gu Huiyan again. But after being separated for a few days, she couldn't help but think about him, and he was all she could think of. When her manager asked her if she wanted to call Gu Huiyan as a guest on the tour, she agreed without hesitation. When she saw him again, she originally thought she could suppress the yearning and liking for him in her heart, but the love was like a raging tide, and she couldn't suppress it at all. With rehearsals and performances to now. As Gu Huiyan did not mention Pei Jingshu in front of her, it seemed that Pei Jingshu no longer existed in their lives. And every time she wanted to hold Gu Huiyan's arm intimately, he didn't refuse. Slowly, she began to regard the close relationship between herself and Gu Huiyan as a daily routine. Subconsciously, they regarded them as something more than ordinary friends, an ambiguous relationship. So much so that in her extremely excited state just now, she was so impulsive that she wanted to kiss Gu Huiyan. We should recognize the reality. She always knew. Only she just didn't want to recognize it. Just now, she even thought that if she and Gu Huiyan kissed, if Gu Huiyan didn't say anything and just acquiesced to her existence. But he still rejected her. Just like every time she discussed with Gu Huiyan in private whether she had a crush on her, Gu Huiyan's avoidance was the same. Every time he avoided it, she should have known the answer. But she was stubborn, and wanted to hit the south wall. Why is it so difficult? The silence lasted for a long time. Without kissing Gu Huiyan, Shang Zuoyan just maintained her position lying on Gu Huiyan's shoulder. Her hair with various tie-dyes hung down casually, covering her face. Even if the light from the street light occasionally shone through the car window, no one could see her face. Gu Huiyan didn't speak, maybe because he didn't know what to say. Fortunately, at this time. "What are you doing, Yan Yan?" In front, Su Xiun suddenly called Shang Zuoyan. Maybe she finally noticed them. "No. Nothing." Shang Zuoyan quickly came to her senses, stood up from Gu Huiyan, and walked forward. A familiar smile reappeared on her face, but it's just not that sweet anymore. In the corners of the eyes, if you look closely, you can even find some tears. "Were you two behind us just now?" "Hey hey hey. Hey, can you please Shang Zuoyan? You start very quickly." The three teammates started to heckle. "No law." Shang Zuoyan just waved her hand and said no. Her pretty face was slightly red and she looked a little shy. Maybe only she knows how uncomfortable she feels inside. Gu Huiyan looked at her from a distance, sighed silently, and said nothing. Not long after, they arrived at the hotel where the celebration banquet was held. Some staff from the organizer, including the on-site director and others, were almost there. Shang Zuoyan and their manager Han Li also rushed over, and everyone had a lively celebration banquet. It is worth mentioning that soon after getting off the bus, Shang Zuoyan pulled Su Xiun aside and asked her, "What you said before, to bring us together, does it still count?" "Ah." Su Xiun scratched her head. She looked a little embarrassed because she was also a little greedy for Gu Huiyan. But it was hard for her to refuse what Shang Zuoyan said. After all, she was the one who said it in the first place. "Fine." Su Xiun finally agreed to Shang Zuoyan. "I feel that for some men, if you don't break his ring, not only others can't eat it, but you can't eat it either." As an important guest of the concert, Gu Huiyan was invited to sit at a table with the main creators, sitting at the same table with Shang Zuoyan and the other four, as well as some general directors of the scene. It was just a normal meal at the beginning, and after a while the staff served us wine. Shang Zuoyan opened a bottle of champagne herself and shook it. "Bo." Squirted for a while. "Oh ho." Livened up the atmosphere. Then she personally poured a glass of champagne for Gu Huiyan and said, "We agreed that I'll let you drink as much as you want after the concert." This is what she said 2 days ago when she received Feng Yan. Gu Huiyan smiled and did not refuse. He took it. To be honest, he had a pretty good drinking capacity. He drank red and white beers without fear. When he sang for Pei Jingshu in Singer of the Times, he drank a lot of. But what made Gu Huiyan a little confused was that after a while, the hotel staff served him red wine, white wine, beer, and other kinds of wine. Before Gu Huiyan realized what was going on, Su Xiun poured a glass of red wine over and said she wanted to have a drink with Gu Huiyan. After Su Xiun finished drinking, Shen Yuqi came over again holding a can of beer. After the two of them drank, Gu Huiyan didn't feel anything wrong until Han Xianji, who usually looked dull and cool, came over with a small bottle of liquor that was over 50 degrees. At that time, Gu Huiyan was stupid and said, "We don't bring anything to drink like this, do we?" Gu Huiyan can drink, but drinking cannot be mixed with. Once mixed, people can easily get drunk. Just beer and liquor mixed together is very interesting, not to mention the strong stamina of red wine. Drinking these three kinds of wine together, Gu Huiyan felt a little dizzy after just a few glasses. In response, Su Xiun and Shen Yuqi just giggled, and the short-haired beauty Shen Yuqi said, I can't drink red wine and white wine, and Xiun can't drink beer and white wine. If Han Xianji. She glanced at Han Xianji, who was holding a small cup of white wine and pouring it into his mouth, sipping it with a look of enjoyment, and said with a wry smile. She really prefers drinking liquor. Gu Huiyan. For a moment, I was a little speechless. At this time, Gu Huiyan was keenly aware of one thing, that is, maybe the three of them plan to feed him. Not only Gu Huiyan noticed it, but others also noticed it. Shang Zuoyan's agent Han Li even sent a message to Shen Yuqi under the table asking what was going on. Knowing their intentions, she had the intention to stop them. After all, it was too nonsense. Gu Huiyan was very popular recently. If they offended Gu Huiyan like this, it would easily cause problems. But when I think about it, if Shang Zuoyan really cooks rice with Gu Huiyan, what benefits will it bring to Shang Zuoyan, and even to the people around her? Han Li finally pretended not to know and laughed it off. As for Gu Huiyan, although he doesn't know the purpose, but he glanced up at the table next to him where Zhang Nuan and the others were sitting, and felt a little relaxed. He brought 2 assistants and a stylist with him this time. After all, he is famous, so he must be matched with what the company should match. Gu Huiyan thought, anyway, if the assistant is here, he will definitely not see him being taken away alone after drinking too much, even if he is a chicken feather. It's so hard to refuse a girl's drink. So Gu Huiyan simply started drinking. But he also had a knack for drinking wine and water. If he felt a little drunk, he would run to the bathroom to spit or wash his face. Try to stay awake as much as possible. That is to say, I don't know if there are any subtle changes in the body after being bound to the system. Gu Huiyan feels that his metabolism has become very fast, he does not gain weight no matter how much he eats, and his alcohol consumption has increased a lot. Just tonight, even if Han Xianji, Su Xiun and Shen Yuqi drank white wine, red wine, and beer in turns, after 3 rounds of drinking, the 3 women were a little unable to bear it, but he was stunned and could not fall down. It's over, it's going to overturn now. Su Xiun's face turned red after drinking. The red wine didn't have much energy at first, but later it became more energetic than the white wine. Now she couldn't hold it any longer. She couldn't help but glance at Shang Zuoyan, her eyes a little helpless. She wanted to say that it's not the sisters who won't help you, but this person's drinking capacity is terrible. I have long heard that Shandong people can drink it, but I didn't expect it to be so good. Even Gu Huiyan's 2 assistants and a makeup artist were brought to their knees by several staff members she specially ordered, but he was still awake. Even when Shen Yuqi drank too much and said some nasty things to him, he just laughed and didn't reply to her. This is too scary. Shang Zuoyan silently held her forehead, thinking to herself, is this all you have? In fact, she drank relatively little. After all, she planned to keep herself sober. But looking at her attitude, she would definitely have no chance tonight if she was sober. After thinking about it for a moment, Shang Zuoyan gritted his teeth and his heart skipped a beat. Just don't do one thing or 2 things. Han Xianji took a small pot of white wine from there, poured it into his own cup, clinked the glasses with Gu Huiyan, and drank a whole cup. A bottle of liquor weighs a pound, and the cups in the hotel are just over 4 cups. Shang Zuoyan's sip is more than 2 taels. Ha! It was so spicy that her expression became ferocious. What are you doing? Gu Huiyan immediately took the teapot and poured water for her. To be honest, Gu Huiyan was a little dizzy after drinking it. Shang Zuoyan didn't drink much and her 3 teammates kept drinking it. Gu Huiyan could probably guess something. He really didn't expect that Shang Zuoyan would torture himself like this. Shang Zuoyan's 3 teammates were also a little silent for a while, frightened by her fierceness. She, Shang Zuoyan, has always been like this. She wants to get what she wants no matter what. She is ruthless and absolutely willing to fight. No, I'm just happy. Shang Zuoyan's pretty face was red. The spicy drink she took just now made her cry. Her stomach was burning. To be honest, she didn't want to drink another sip now. She even wanted to spit it out. But she had to drink. She really doesn't have many chances. If Gu Huiyan left like this tonight, she didn't know when she would see him again or when he would have such an opportunity. They are both very busy, and if it is difficult to meet each other, what's the point of talking about the future? So she ignored the obstruction of the people next to her, took the wine bottle, and filled herself up with a whole glass again. Come. Look at that posture, and I'm going to kill him again. Don't. Gu Huiyan felt a little distressed and tried to stop him, but she had already drank it. Maybe it was because of the previous drink, but Shang Zuoyan didn't feel so uncomfortable this time. After suppressing the strong alcohol, she took the wine bottle and poured it into the cup again. Upon seeing this, Gu Huiyan immediately stretched out his hand to take away the cup in front of her, and frowned helplessly and asked Shang Zuoyan, "Why are you doing this? You. Why bother? Why are you torturing yourself like this? Is it necessary?" Ah. As if she was mocking herself, Shang Zuoyan suddenly smiled. She was still tough and said, "My concert ended successfully and I burped, I was happy. What do you want me to drink my wine for? You." Gu Huiyan was speechless for a moment. How? Shang Zuoyan may indeed have drunk too much. She smelled of wine and her pretty face was red, but her eyes were staring straight at Gu Huiyan. She asked, "Do you feel sorry for me? You feel bad, just say it. You like me, too. I don't want you to keep it in your heart. Obviously you love me very much, but there is no reason why love can't end. As long as you dare not be cowardly, why should we miss it?" Participating in a love show, this little guy is too down to earth. Author, Buletin Shi Swan Shi Shui Xian. Chapter 202. Tonight. Originally, Shang Zuoyan's three teammates planned to get Gu Huiyan drunk, along with his assistant, stylist, and so on. When the time comes, he, Gu Huaqiang, will be the meat and potatoes on the chopping board, and they can do whatever they want. Shang Zuoyan hasn't been drinking much for this reason. She just wants to keep herself awake and carry Gu Huiyan to the hotel room upstairs. To be honest, as a proud girl like Shang Zuoyan, she would have disdained to do this. When Su Xiun proposed this proposal, she always refused. But tonight when she wanted to kiss Gu Huiyan in the car, Gu Huiyan avoided her. She was really sad and suddenly wanted to break the pot. After tonight, there was no telling when they would see each other again, let alone how their relationship would progress. She didn't want to regret mentioning the relationship they didn't have time to progress in the future. Everything was originally designed well. Who knew Gu Huiyan's drinking capacity was so damn good? After going back and forth for several times, red wine, white wine, and beer were bombarded in turn, but this old man still stood firm. That Shang Zuoyan had no choice. She really had no choice. If he is not drunk, he is the only one who is drunk. So, the reason why she drank 2 glasses of white wine just now was not to drink Gu Huiyan, but just to drink herself. Feeling uncomfortable? It's really uncomfortable. After a whole glass of high-strength liquor, everything from the esophagus to the stomach was as hot as fire. If Shang Zuoyan hadn't eaten something in advance, he might have had a stomach problem now. But how can the physical discomfort be compared with the psychological discomfort? She was forcing Gu Huiyan. Looking at Shang Zuoyan, who had a bit of pain in her eyebrows, to be honest, Gu Huiyan was really distressed. From the moment we met, she has always been a very cheerful, lively, and confident girl. In Gu Huiyan's impression, Shang Zuoyan should wear a beautiful little skirt and happily eat delicious food every day. She shouldn't be like this. Is it because of my rejection tonight? Should be. In fact, Gu Huiyan understood everything, but there were always some boundaries that he couldn't cross. And seeing Shang Zuoyan in such discomfort, Gu Huiyan really couldn't bear her to continue torturing him. Then, after Su Xiun and the others drank a few more drinks, he finally pretended to be too drunk, pretended to be asleep, and lay down on the table. Okay, stop drinking. Seeing Shang Zuoyan acting like she was addicted to alcohol, Su Xiun quickly grabbed her wine glass and wiped her mouth with some distress, leaving red lip prints and some saliva on the white tissue. Hey. Shang Zuoyan seemed to be a little on top, her pretty face was red, and she was giggling. Su Xiun called to Shen Yuqi and Han Xianji, who was still sipping and enjoying the liquor, and together they carried Gu Huiyan and Shang Zuoyan upstairs. At this time, it was already a feast of wine and food. Gu Huiyan's assistants and stylists had long been confused. Some people had already left. Shang Zuoyan's manager Han Li had already left. A person who cared about Gu Huiyan, none of them. Gu Huiyan and Shang Zuoyan were stuffed into Shang Zuoyan's room. My kindness and righteousness have been exhausted, sister, I leave it to you. Before leaving, Su Xiun leaned into Shang Zuoyan's ear and whispered. To be honest, looking at Shang Zuoyan's drunken look, Su Xiun was a little worried, fearing that if she really drank too much and fell asleep like this, wouldn't it be a waste of such a good opportunity tonight? Glancing at Gu Huiyan, who was also sleeping dazedly next to her, Su Xiun suddenly thought, how about taking Gu Huiyan away by herself? Carry it to your room. Anyway, a bear like Shang Zuoyan may not know. Establishing a relationship with Gu Huiyan would bring many benefits. Su Xiun was crazy in her heart. She really wanted to do this. Shen Yuqi next to her also had a strange look in her eyes. However, at this moment, Shang Zuoyan suddenly hugged Gu Huiyan's arm and pressed her pretty face to his side. There were tears in the corners of her eyes. She cried and muttered. You are mine, my. To be honest, at this moment, looking at Shang Zuoyan like this, even Su Xiun and Shen Yuqi felt a little distressed. She has never been so humble, she has always been proud and confident. Oh, that's all. Su Xiun silently held her forehead and pulled Shen Yuqi and Han Xianji out. Tonight. Let's fulfill them. Click. The three women closed the door and left, and the sound of the door closing was heard. The room was quiet with the lights on. Neither Gu Huiyan nor Shang Zuoyan spoke first, and they didn't know if they were really drunk. Shang Zuoyan hugged Gu Huiyan's arm and pressed her entire upper body against Gu Huiyan's body. Her fleshy body gave Gu Huiyan a feeling of being wrapped around her. Gu Huiyan could even feel her even breathing. That's right, Gu Huiyan was not drunk. Even up to now, he had been pretending to be asleep. Therefore, Su Xiun and Shen Yuqi should be glad that they did not take Gu Huiyan away alone, otherwise they would not gain anything, but their intentions would be exposed. Well. Gu Huiyan sighed, opened his eyes, sat up, and carried Shang Zuoyan to the bed in the room. To be honest, Shang Zuoyan is not too heavy, maybe she is heavier among female stars, but no matter how heavy it weighs over 100 pounds, it is impossible for Gu Huiyan to feel heavy. Well. Shang Zuoyan was obviously very drunk, muttering in a daze and unable to hear anything clearly. Gu Huiyan originally planned to put her on the bed, cover her with a quilt and leave, but who knew? Just as he was about to put her on the bed, the woman suddenly stretched out a hand, hooked her neck, and then pulled him onto the bed. From this angle, Gu Huiyan had no leverage at all, so he just pressed Shang Zuoyan and lay on the bed. From Gu Huiyan's perspective, he could see that Shang Zuoyan suddenly opened her eyes. There was almost no turbidity in her eyes, but she seemed to be very awake. So, she's pretending to be drunk too? You're not drunk. Gu Huiyan couldn't help but ask. You want to pour me less than a kilogram of liquor? Are you kidding? Shang Xuan pouted her little mouth, her pretty face was slightly red, but she could see that she was a little arrogant. She rolled her eyes at Gu Huiyan and said, "It's a shame that you think I'm such a bad drinker." After all, she came back from working abroad. As a social expert, Shang Xuan has participated in many drinking parties. If she had a bad drinking ability, she would have been drunk and taken to the hotel many times. The corners of Gu Huiyan's mouth twitched crazily. He suddenly thought that if Shen Yuqi and Su Xiun had taken him away alone just now, then Shang Xuan. Well, Gu Huiyan didn't even dare to think about it. So she was also testing her teammates just now, right? There are so many secrets among these seemingly close teammates. Since you're not drunk, I'll leave. Gu Huiyan put his hands on both sides of Shang Xuan's arms. He was now lying on Shang Xuan's body. Such a posture was always a bit ambiguous, especially. From his perspective at this moment, he could see Shang Xuan with a pretty red face, lying in front of him, looking like anyone can take what you want. Shang Xuan has an extremely hot figure, and a pretty face as delicate as a doll. She is lying on the bed, with her hair disheveled, staring at her big watery eyes, and holding her hands around Gu Huiyan's neck. It was like a flamethrower with maximum power, as if it was going to burn Gu Huiyan like firewood. Go? Where? Shang Xuan hooked her two beautiful arms tightly around Gu Huiyan's neck, and took advantage of the situation to hook her two beautiful legs around Gu Huiyan's waist. She was like a heavy-weight pendant, with love stronger than gold and a 7-day lock, hanging entirely on it. On Gu Huiyan. Gu Huiyan couldn't get up no matter what. To be honest, Gu Huiyan could get up if he thought about it. After all, he was young, had a good waist, loved to exercise, and had muscles, but it was just a little difficult. What's more, Shang Xuan made it clear that she didn't want Gu Huiyan to be safe. She didn't explain or say anything, it was so sudden. Raising her proud jade neck, slightly pouting her pink lips, she hooked her arms around Gu Huiyan's neck and kissed her. This distance and this posture were different from those in the car. Gu Huiyan had no time to dodge. Well, that's all. Gu Huiyan and Shang Xuan finally kissed after a long absence in a deserted hotel. No one knows how long Xuan has been looking forward to this kiss, how long she has thought about it. Strictly speaking, this kiss is not sweet. It contains not only the fragrance of Shang Xuan, but also some liquor has a strong alcoholic taste. A little rushed. For Gu Huiyan, it was definitely not as sweet and exciting as Sister Xilan's French kiss on the last night in Yunnan. But Shang Xuan is very enthusiastic, she will be even more enthusiastic than Sister Xilan, just like her nickname Little Wild Horse, it is too wild and unrestrained. She kissed Gu Huiyan desperately. After kissing on the left side, she moved to kiss the right side. Her mouth could not be used to breathe, and her heartbeat accelerated, but it made her breathe quickly, so Gu Huiyan could feel the breath she kept hitting her face. To be honest, Gu Huiyan also drank tonight, and under the influence of alcohol, he would occasionally lose control. At this time, Gu Huiyan would be a little grateful to Sister Xilan. Every time he wanted to lose control, he would think of the guilt he felt after kissing Sister Xilan that night. So even if he was kissed so forcefully by Shang Xuan, he would just try his best to separate their mouths again and again. Possible. You must be tired. Shang Xuan's cervical vertebrae couldn't bear the pain of always raising her neck to kiss him from below. Huh. She was breathing heavily, her chest was rising and falling, but her hands were still hanging on Gu Huiyan's neck. Her eyes were a little sad because she could clearly feel that she didn't move Gu Huiyan at all. But when she saw the lipstick marks on Gu Huiyan's mouth, lips, chin, etc., the look on his face. Pook. Shang Xuan couldn't help laughing again. Laughter is only temporary. Smiling, crystal tears began to appear in her eyes. You just Don't like me that much. She held Gu Huiyan in the same position as before. In fact, Gu Huiyan had maintained this supporting position for a long time. His hands would definitely be tired, but he still kept it. Shang Zuoyan wanted to say, "Can't you put down your hands and really lie on me? Can't we be more intimate and ambiguous? I don't want any status from you, I don't want anything, I just want you, can't I?" No. Gu Huiyan shook his head. To be honest, Gu Huiyan didn't seem to avoid Shang Zuoyan's questions anymore. He even kissed her. At this time, they were two people in private. There were no staff on duty in the crystal courtyard, nor any in the camera, it's just the two of them. Still in bed. What else can't be said? Are you tired? Do you want to lie down first? Shang Zuoyan pouted her mouth, and her big eyes with teardrops showed a bit of heartache. Then let me go. If I don't let go of you, you'll run away. Can I not run? I do not believe. Then if you don't let go of me, how can I lie down? You can lie on top of me. Hey you. Gu Huiyan looked helpless, and Shang Zuoyan had a sense of déjà vu that whatever he said tonight would make him suffer. There were tears in Shang Zuoyan's eyes, but she was amused by Gu Huiyan. She was such a funny and cute girl. She was obviously sad, but she always wanted to laugh because of some details. Gu Huiyan. Shang Zuoyan's voice is a little hoarse, probably because she drank too fast and too hard. There is also some alcohol taste in her mouth, but to be honest, it is not unpleasant. After all, she has more fragrance, even if it is mixed with alcohol, it will not taste bad. At least it's not annoying. She just said, "I don't want anything. I don't need you to admit that you are a lover with me. You can also continue to fall in love with Pei Jingshu. You can show your affection however you want. I just..." At this point, her tears finally filled up in her eyes, which were not large enough, and began to fall from the corners of her eyes. She says, "I just want you not to reject me, not to push me away, not to hide when I hug you or kiss you, not to make me always so sad, I don't want to." Her voice slowly took on a hint of crying, and then she very carefully released her right hand from Gu Huiyan's hook, pointed to the left side of Gu Huiyan's heart, and said, "I just want you to stay here and have a place that belongs only to me. Is it that difficult?" At the end of the sentence, she couldn't hold back any longer, and tears burst out uncontrollably. Maybe it was because she let go of the hand that was holding Gu Huiyan's neck, or maybe because she burst into tears. Shang Zuoyan couldn't hold it anymore, and finally finished her words with a choked sob. She took the opportunity to put her hand around Gu Huiyan's waist legs, all put down. She turned sideways and raised her hands to cover her face, her makeup stained with tears. She didn't want to be seen by Gu Huiyan and would rather shrink herself into the quilt. She is obviously a very proud girl. In the past, she looked down on the woman who said those words the most, but she still said these words. Maybe she was despising herself in her heart, and she was afraid that Gu Huiyan would look down on her, so she would rather let Gu Huiyan get up and leave now. She no longer stopped him, she said everything she needed to say and did everything she needed to do. She couldn't think of anything else she could do to retain Gu Huiyan. She never wanted to tie up Gu Huiyan with her hands and feet. She really wanted him to stay with her. Why is she not worthy of Gu Huiyan staying for her? She will never understand. Well. Looking at Shang Zuoyan's pitiful appearance, looking at her covering her face and curling up on the white quilt, crying and trembling, Gu Huiyan couldn't help but sigh. He didn't walk, he just sat up and relaxed his arms that were a little sore from supporting his body. He could imagine how much psychological construction a proud girl like Shang Zuoyan had to do when she said what she just said. To be honest, Gu Huiyan really couldn't see a girl crying, especially a lively and cheerful girl like Shang Zuoyan looking so sad. He felt bad, really. He couldn't help but sit over and gently patted Shang Xuan on the shoulder. Shang Xuan seemed to feel that Gu Huiyan had not left, and Shang Xuan breathed a sigh of relief. But before she could sit up and collect her emotions for a moment, Gu Huiyan actually asked, "Do you know what you are like?" Shang Xuan's heart skipped a beat. Of course she knew, she had always known. She wiped the tears on her face and sat up stubbornly. She didn't look very good looking with her makeup stained from crying, and she was even a little embarrassed, but she still gritted her teeth and said with some dissatisfaction, "Of course I know. I know 3 things." "Then you still?" Gu Huiyan frowned. In fact, he wanted to say that Shang Xuan deserved better. A girl like her would be liked by many boys who were better than Gu Huiyan. What kind of boy can't she find? Why rely on a man like him who has a girlfriend? Shang Xuan said nothing. She just stared at Gu Huiyan, with no expression on her face, and her scalp went numb when Gu Huiyan stared at her. "If you have something to say, just say it. Don't be so scary, okay," Gu Huiyan couldn't help but say. Shang Xuan didn't speak, but tears kept coming out. Seeing her sad look, Gu Huiyan couldn't bear it anymore. He was always so soft-hearted. "Why are you crying? You." He was helpless and quickly went to get a tissue to wipe her with. "Heartless man, do you think I want to?" While crying, Shang Xuan pouted her little mouth and said something resentful. She was right. In fact, she seemed to know the 2 of them, but Gu Huiyan really deceived her heart away. Now he doesn't want to be responsible. If he had known that this would be the case, you and I would have been the same when we participated in the show. Why am I so familiar and close? Before Gu Huiyan could figure out why he had betrayed his heart, suddenly. Hey! Shang Xuan pounced on him and threw him on the bed. To be honest, Gu Huiyan regretted why she didn't take advantage of Shang Xuan's release to sit somewhere else or stand up. Sitting on the bed without support, she could fall down if she wanted to. This posture now makes Gu Huiyan want to scold her. Just now, he was lying on Shang Xuan, but Shang Xuan wouldn't let him get up. He was tired with his hands on the bed, Shang Xuan was tired from holding his neck and waist, and even kissing him was very tiring. But at least there is some distance. But now, Shang Xuan sat astride him. Neither of them made any effort. There was no distance at all. Shang Xuan even wanted to kiss him, so she just lay down. By accident, Gu Huiyan created such an excellent environment for her. There is no one left. What made Gu Huiyan even more stunned was that Shang Xuan, who was sitting astride him, had her 2 jade hands crossed on the hem of her shiny short-sleeved top, posing. "Take it off. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment." Participating in a love show, this little guy is too down to earth. Author, Buletin Shi Swan Shi Shui Xian. Chapter 203. Gu Huiyan pushed Shang Xuan away. He didn't say it was another prize, he just said, "You drank too much, we shouldn't be like this." This time, he was quite forceful. Shang Xuan fell heavily on the bed. To be honest, it didn't hurt. After all, the mattress was very soft, but the impact was really strong, as if her unconsciousness was shaken by hormones. The reason that rushed over me came back a little bit. Gu Huiyan stood up, quickly arranged his clothes, and was about to go out. It's not that he is really that cruel, but that he is afraid that if he is not cruel for a moment, he will really be unable to leave. Don't go. Shang Xuan stood up, grabbed Gu Huiyan, and kissed Gu Huiyan like crazy. Gu Huiyan felt some pain on his neck. He didn't feel anything unusual at the time. He just tried his best not to hurt Shang Xuan. Yan pushed her away. "Maybe, I also feel that I am too humble. Shang Zuoyan held his hand, but her strength became weaker and weaker. Slowly, I no longer exert any effort. I feel a little sad. I feel like everything I did tonight is meaningless. What she said made even less sense. She should have known what kind of person Gu Huiyan was. Boom. The door was just closed. It was like the door to Shang Zuoyan's heart was shut with a bang. When it was turned off, the sound was so loud that Shang Zuoyan's whole body trembled, and she was a little frightened. Shang Zuoyan was sitting on the carpet in the room, with her hair disheveled and hanging on her face. She didn't care about it, she just sat there in a daze, looking in the direction of the door. A few moments. Woo! The tears couldn't be held back anymore, and they started to flow out like they were free of money. Juan was crying and ugly, but she had no intention of caring about it anymore. The other side. Call. After Gu Huiyan returned to the room, he took a glass of water, poured a full glass into his mouth, and then sat on the sofa in the living room, breathing heavily. To be honest, he was almost unable to hold on just now. Do you think he likes Shang Zuoyan? Like. Gu Huiyan couldn't deny that he had no reason not to like such a colorful, lively, and cheerful girl. But sometimes, there are some boundaries that cannot be crossed, that is, they cannot be crossed. The room was quiet, but Gu Huiyan's mind was very confused. The pictures in his mind were all those of Shang Zuoyan kissing and hugging him just now. The lingering feelings made him feel a little guilty. Call. Taking a deep breath, Gu Huiyan couldn't help but pick up his phone and make a call to Pei Jingshu. He didn't want to confess anything, he just wanted to have a chat with her. Let your somewhat chaotic mind calm down. They haven't seen each other for a long time. To be honest, Gu Huiyan also wants to see her. Ding dong dong. There was a long ringing tone from the phone. For a long time. Hello, the number you dialed is currently unavailable. In the end no one picked up. At this time, she may have fallen asleep. Gu Huiyan was a little depressed, but he didn't call Pei Jingshu again. This night, he had insomnia and didn't sleep. Occasionally, he would think about how sad Shang Zuoyan would be if he left so cruelly. She was such a proud girl, she even said such words, but she left so cruelly. The next day. Early morning. Ding dong dong. At dawn, Gu Huiyan received a call back from Pei Jingshu. Maybe she couldn't receive the messages Gu Huiyan called her at the first time, but she would always come back after seeing them. Sorry, I've been too busy these days. I went to bed very late last night. What happened when I just saw it? Pei Jingshu briefly explained that she had been too busy in the past few days and really had no time to look at her phone. It's nothing, just. To be honest, Gu Huiyan had already calmed down after a whole night, and he actually couldn't say some words. For a long time. He finally said. I just miss you. Ever since Pei Jingshu left the city where Gu Huiyan's home was, she was so busy that she didn't even call Gu Huiyan. Their contact was limited to Gu Huiyan reporting to her before going to Shang Zuoyan's concert. After a while, she just replied. It's not that Gu Huiyan didn't call, or that he didn't miss her, it was because Gu Huiyan knew that she was very busy. The few times Gu Huiyan called, her assistant or agent sister answered the call. It wasn't because she had taken the call more often, so he gradually became less willing to take it. However, Pei Jingshu is not the clingy type like Shang Zuoyan, and she doesn't have much contact with Gu Huiyan. In her world, she probably thinks it is interesting to meet and chat about topics that have been accumulated for a while. Slowly, if you don't say something for a long time, or if two people don't see each other for a long time, there will naturally be some gap. I miss you as well. Pei Jingshu smiled softly, and it was not difficult to hear some sincerity in her voice. She was such a girl who didn't like to express herself in words, and she never spoke much. Well, where are you now? Gu Huiyan asked. Xian Pei Jingsha replied. Are you going to stay there for how many days? Gu Huiyan asked again. The flight should leave tonight. Pei Jingsha noticed something keenly and asked. What's wrong? Ah, nothing. Gu Huiyan smiled and said. I just really want to see you, how about I don't know why, but Gu Huiyan really wanted to see Pei Jingsha today. He was very distressed about Shang Zuoyan, so he just wanted to hug Pei Jingshu. So he wanted to say, how about he go over and see Pei Jingshu today? Although he had a job to fly back at noon today, he could still turn it down. He just wanted to see Pei Jingshu. But before he could say anything, the assistant's voice came from Pei Jingshu's cell phone. Sister Pei, our flight will be moved forward. There will be a thunderstorm here in the afternoon. Oh okay, I understand. Pei Jingshu first answered the assistant's words, and then asked Gu Huiyan. What did you say? Oh no. It's nothing. Gu Huiyan shook his head, looking at it this way, it was definitely too late. Suddenly, Gu Huiyan didn't know what to say. He actually wanted to go to the next city where Pei Jingshu was going to meet her, but that would delay the work of both him and Pei Jingshu. That would not be very mature. He felt that a character like Pei Jingshu would not like this. That would bother her too. So he can't go. Pei Jingshu, on the other hand, was keenly aware that something was wrong, but she seemed to be able to guess it. She said. I know what you want to say. You told me about the concert in advance. I don't know the new song, but I believe you. Don't worry, I won't misunderstand. She probably thought that Shang Zuoyan sang Your Smile at the concert and compared her a little lucky in public. Gu Huiyan was afraid that she would misunderstand. This matter was still a hot topic on the internet. Although Gu Huiyan did not tell her, this phone call already explained Gu Huiyan's attitude. If you like him and love him, you must believe in him. Pei Jingshu feels that she has always been pretty good at this. Gu Huiyan still didn't speak. He actually didn't mean to say this, but he couldn't see Pei Jingshu and felt that he couldn't understand anything on the phone. In order not to worry Pei Jingshu, after thinking about it for a while, Gu Huiyan still forced a smile and said. Well, as long as you don't misunderstand. After chatting briefly for a while, Pei Jingshu seemed to be putting on makeup and getting ready to leave for the airport. She had some meals planned for Reuters today, so Gu Huiyan hung up the phone. After hanging up the phone, Gu Huiyan looked at the gloomy sky outside the window, feeling as if he was feeling depressed and unable to speak out. In fact, he is not a person who can hide things in his heart. He always feels that some things should be spoken out, but if he cannot see them, there is no point in speaking out many things. Fortunately, he is a relatively down-to-earth person. He knows that there is no point in worrying about these things, so he simply doesn't worry about it. He turns around and runs to the bathroom to wash up. Zhang Nuan and the others will be here later. You can walk into the bathroom and look in the mirror. What the hell? Gu Huiyan was immediately confused. On his neck, there are a lot of hickeys, which are the so-called strawberry print. What the hell? Gu Huiyan looked at it for a long time. At first he thought it was a lipstick mark, but after rubbing it for a long time, it couldn't be removed, and it couldn't be washed away with water. At that time, Gu Huiyan knew that it was a mess, MD strawberry mark. He held his forehead silently, with a look of helplessness on his face. Shang Zuoyan was causing a problem for him. As a star, once the strawberry mark on his neck is exposed, he will be finished, right? This clip promotes Shang Zuoyan's emotional line. The helpless long-distance relationship with Sister Pei at the end is a foreshadowing point. It definitely doesn't end now. The protagonist's attitude is quite obvious from the beginning. Otherwise, it will be a real success. There will be some of you who love Kang soon. Participating in a love show, this little guy is too down to earth. Author, Buletin shi swan shi shui xian. Chapter 204. Gu Huiyan had no choice but to find a temporary scarf and put it on, trying not to be discovered, otherwise not only would he be in trouble, but Shang Xuan would also be prone to problems. Speaking of Shang Xuan, Gu Huiyan actually wanted to care about her, but thinking about how cruelly he left last night, he didn't know how to care. I'm afraid that caring will cause chaos. All we can do is pretend that nothing is wrong. The time was probably around 9 o'clock in the morning. It was almost too late for Zhang Nuan and the others to come over. Obviously, they were also drunk heavily last night. Wow, they were really so enthusiastic last night. Zhang Nuan rubbed her forehead. She had indeed been fed too much last night, and she didn't know what happened next. Were you okay last night? She asked Gu Huiyan. She wasn't stupid either. As a professional artist assistant, she belatedly figured out the intention of those people to prevent them from looking at Gu Huiyan. If something happened to Gu Huiyan, she would really be to blame. What can I do? Gu Huiyan shook his head, with a guilty look on his face. Why are you wearing a scarf around your neck? Zhang Nuan frowned. September may not be hot anymore, but it's not the season for wearing scarves, right? Last night, I didn't sleep well. My cervical spine caught a cold and I felt a little uncomfortable. Gu Huiyan made a random excuse. Oh. Zhang Nuan didn't dare to ask any more questions. After simply packing up, they were ready to go to the airport. Before leaving, I specifically said hello to Shang Xuan and the others. Su Xiun, Shen Yuqi, and Han Xianji all sent them downstairs. Shang Xuan didn't send them, saying that they were not feeling comfortable and were resting in the room. When seeing him off downstairs, looking at Gu Huiyan wearing a scarf on a hot day, the three girls Su Xiun, Shen Yuqi, and Han Xianji always looked at him strangely and funny, which made Gu Huiyan feel a little hairy. Say goodbye quickly and leave, fleeing. On the way, Gu Huiyan would occasionally wonder how Shang Xuan was doing, and he still had a headache from thinking about it. Everything was fine this time, and Gu Huiyan never thought about how he could leave like this. How will I see Shang Xuan again in the future? Well. He sighed silently. Fortunately, Zhang Nuan's words interrupted his thoughts at this time. She said. Do you know that your script of Go Where the Wind Is was really picked up by someone? Ah. Gu Huiyan was stunned for a moment, and then he remembered that it was the script that was discovered by Zhang Ma when the system reward was reported to the company after the recording of Crystal Love Season was completed 2 months ago. He almost forgot about it, but he didn't expect. There are several employers who are optimistic about this book, and Mother Zhang is talking to them. Zhang Nuan told Gu Huiyan some details, saying that the book was good and many people wanted to vote for it. Zhang Ma meant that Gu Huiyan should be the leading actor. After all, he wrote the script and it had some picture basis from Crystal Love Season. Even if Gu Huiyan, this is my first time filming, and the sense of immersion is definitely stronger than that of any young actor. What's more, with Gu Huiyan's current traffic and popularity, he can definitely afford the male lead. You mean acting? Are you from a major? Who cares about this? In today's domestic entertainment, filming requires some kind of acting skills, just having a good face, making money, and some kind of quality. The management is also very satisfied with Gu Huiyan's role as the male lead Xiao. He is suitable in all aspects, and it is this female lead. Who do you think the heroine has been chosen to be? Zhang Nuan asked Gu Huiyan expectantly. Who is it? Gu Huiyan was really curious. To be honest, he may not have been in the industry for a long time, so he doesn't have many contacts with his colleagues. Even if he does, they are all from the music industry, and he rarely has contact with his colleagues from the entertainment industry. I really don't know which actress they want to play Su Hongdu. However, Zhang Nuan said with some excitement. Sister Xylin. Ah. Gu Huiyan was stunned for a moment. Sister Xylin? Oh. It does seem appropriate. Gu Huiyan has read the script of Where the Wind is Going. Sister Xilan is an actress with superb acting skills. Whether it is appearance, acting skills, character, or age, she fits the Su Hongdu character in the play. Personal design. Speaking of Sister Xilan. After Crystal Love season ended, Gu Huiyan never contacted her again. I remember that when Gu Huiyan's new album was released, she helped forward it, but there was no copywriting, and her sister didn't seem to know what to say. Thinking of this Gu Huiyan, he felt a little embarrassed because his new album was a big hit and his sister helped forward it, but his sister's new drama was a hit and he didn't say anything. Will she come? Gu Huiyan couldn't help but laugh. Strictly speaking, Go Where the Wind Is belongs to a relatively relaxed and healing style. It does not highlight the acting skills of the leading actors, and there are not many touching stories. Sister Xilan is a professional actress, and she chooses the scripts are very sinister. Just look at the dramas she has launched in recent years. Which script has average characters? I'm afraid she won't answer. I don't know yet. The company just sent the script and is waiting for her reply. Zhang Nuan smacked her lips. To be honest, she really wanted Sister Xilan to come. Oh, by the way, when I mentioned this, I suddenly thought of something. Zhang Nuan told Gu Huiyan. Are you going to Su Yuntang's food show next month? Su Yuntang sent a private message to Gu Huiyan before this happened. Gu Huiyan didn't know when he would have a schedule at that time. At that time, the new album was a big hit and the schedule for the next month was instantly filled up, so he didn't agree. Go if you have time, Gu Huiyan said. Su Yuntang is actually quite a nice person, and he is a senior that Gu Huiyan respects a lot. The popularity of his show is not low either. Gu Huiyan will not be given an announcement fee, and he will not suffer any loss. To be honest, I don't really have enough time. Zhang Nuan smiled bitterly and shook his head. Gu Huiyan's schedule was full. Artists are generally busy, not in terms of a particularly large number of jobs, but in many places. For example, this job is in Yunnan, and the other job is in Shanghai. In between, you have to fly and catch the high-speed train, so all your time is spent on the road. That's why there is a saying that the schedule is not enough. Then this. Gu Huiyan also wanted to say that there was nothing he could do, but Zhang Nuan said again. But they said Sister Xilan is going. What do you mean? All for Gu Huiyan's entertainment. What do you mean, because Sister Xilan goes, his not so plentiful time can be freed up? Who do you think I am? Zhang Nuan laughed and said it was a joke, but don't take it seriously. In terms of time, they can actually spare some time. As for whether Xilan will go, this has not been determined yet. I heard that she has not replied yet. Gu Huiyan nodded. After so many days, Gu Huiyan was still looking forward to seeing Sister Xilan and Best Actor Su again. Noon. Hongdian. Click. Very good. This is over, Xilan, go and rest. Okay, let's call it a day, it's time for dinner. Xilan, a mature sister wearing hanfu, had just finished the morning's shooting and returned to the car. The assistant brought water and a small fan. Sister, what would you like to eat for lunch? The assistant asked. Eat with the crew, don't do anything special. Xilan shook her head and smiled. She is always so easygoing. Because Xilan wore a pure white hanfu during the filming today. Ancient women's clothing was much more sophisticated than modern ones. No flesh was exposed, but it gave people a very elegant feeling. Xilan's head was made into a somewhat complicated shape, with various hairpins tied in it. It looked a little complicated, but it also had a lot of feeling. Call. After a morning of shooting, Xilan was a little tired. She lay on the seat of the car, took off her shoes, exposed her feet, and raised one leg to rest on the other. It's not that she was uncivilized or unhygienic, it was just that the shoes she wore for filming were too tight and not very breathable. After calming down for a while, she took her mobile phone from her assistant to see if there were any messages, or to watch videos to relax. Who would have thought that as soon as I opened the short video software, the message that Gu Huiyan was a mysterious guest at Shang Zuoyan's concert last night was pushed to my face. Seeing Shang Zuoyan's happy look in the video, Xylin pursed her lips and silently swiped the video. Who knows what will happen next? The next one will be the same. It's quite frustrating. Simply, Xylin turned off her phone and didn't want to look at it anymore. Speaking of which, she hadn't seen Gu Huiyan for a long time. After Crystal Love season ended, her brother didn't send her any messages at all, as if he had forgotten her. Really ignorant. Su Yuntang, on the other hand, sent her some messages and asked her if she wanted to go to his show, but she either said she didn't have time or didn't reply. After that night, she actually avoided Su Yuntang a little, feeling that she would be embarrassed when she saw him. Sister, we have received a few scripts here, would you like to read them? Xylin's assistant was also considerate. Seeing that Xylin was in a bad mood, he simply brought her a few scripts. They are all physical. Xylin is used to reading physical scripts, so after receiving them, the general assistant will help her print them out. Xylin nodded, took it, and looked through it. It's just that I lacked interest when watching it. The domestic entertainment market is getting worse day by day, not to mention the music market, the film and television drama market is also like this, or should be said, especially the film and television drama market. Just take a look at the dramas that have been produced in the past few years. Those online dramas are all about ancient puppets and modern idols. They are a group of idol dramas that disrupt the market every day. Not to mention the embarrassing ones, some are even the dubbing is not even my own. The main drama is also terrible, and the selection of materials is good, but there are directors who can't shoot or edit, and each feature film is more awkward than the last. Some well-known seniors with good acting skills have gone to take some popular dramas, and there is no one left. Xylin did not go out to film for a long time because she could not see a good script. Even the one she is currently filming, to be honest, it gave her a feeling of picking something edible from the garbage heap. I read the scripts every day, and she was approached to film movies all day long, and each one was offered higher remuneration. Some even asked her to star in idol dramas. It made her a little numb. So actually reading the script gave her a little headache. There were some script titles that she didn't even want to read, such as that domineering president fell in love with me. At this moment, a script title that made her eyes shine appeared in front of her. Go to a place with wind. Xylin read it for a while and found it quite interesting. She read it carefully and found out that some of the plots in the script looked a bit familiar. It's just very familiar. This script. She couldn't help but ask her assistant. The assistant took a look, slapped her forehead and said that she forgot to mark this script specifically. Just when Xylin looked confused, she said, "You can look at the name of the screenwriter of this script." Xylin was stunned for a moment, then picked up the script and read it. It didn't matter at first glance. The moment she saw the screenwriter's signature, she froze on the spot. In the script, it is clearly stated. Screenwriter, Gu Huiyan. Participating in a love show, this little guy is too down to earth. Author, Buletin Shi Swan Shi Shui Xian. Chapter 205. My sister raised her eyebrows lightly and looked at the assistant in disbelief. Her eyes seemed to say, "Is this the one we know, Gu Huiyan? Doesn't it have the same name?" The assistant nodded and smiled. "It's him, teacher Xiaogu, who wrote the script. He can also write scripts." Xylin smiled. She knew that Gu Huiyan was talented. The new album had directly propelled him to a top-tier position, but she really didn't expect that he could actually write scripts. You know, songwriting and script writing are two completely different fields, and they are a cross-border. What made Xylan even more amazed was that Gu Huiyan's script was actually pretty good. When she first read it, she didn't read the screenwriter's name, but read the script directly. It was the script that attracted her, so she asked the assistant and then noticed Gu Huiyan's name. She did not deny that she was interested because some of the stories in it resonated with when they were recording the show in Yunnan. But even from the perspective of a bystander, she would feel that the stories were well written and the lines were quite interesting. "Do you think this script is good, sister?" the assistant asked. "Well, the front looks pretty good, but I have to look again," Siren replied. "My sister is very professional. Even if this is a script written by Gu Huiyan, the story resonates with her very much, but you can't just look at the beginning of a drama. There are many dramas that are well written at the beginning but unfinished at the end." So she had to look again. "You were appointed to act in this play." The assistant smiled and said jokingly. "The male lead has been decided on, teacher Xiaogu." "Yeah." Xylan smiled. She was very tired after a whole morning of filming. In some scenes, the opponent actor made many mistakes and failed again and again. She was not in a particularly good mood. But now for some reason, she couldn't help but raise the corners of her mouth, and she was in a good mood. After Crystal Love season ended, Gu Huiyan and Pei Jingxia showed off their love for a long time, and went to Shang Zuoyan's concert as guests, but they had no contact with her at all. She thought that little bastard had forgotten her sister. Looking at it now, it doesn't seem to be the case. Not only did he not forget her, he even wrote a play for her. He himself will be the male lead and appoint her to be the female lead. But how could he be so sure that he wouldn't refuse? After all, Gu Huiyan had never acted before, and Xylan rarely filmed with newcomers, let alone the leading male and female protagonists. Thinking of this, Xylan suddenly wanted to ask Gu Huiyan face to face. It was at this time that the assistant smiled and asked, "Well, cousin Yoon still said that he wants to invite you to a show. Didn't I tell you not to go?" Xylan shook her head slightly and answered very calmly, without even looking up. The assistant smacked his lips, actually feeling a little sorry for the best actor Su Yuntang is not making a hype, he just wants to use the show to meet Xylan. After Crystal Love season, he couldn't even ask Xylan out. When he came to visit the class some time ago, Xylan actually flew to the next door overnight on the pretext of a friend's birthday. City. Obviously avoiding him. He just doesn't want to give up. The assistant said. "What if teacher Xiaogu also goes?" Ah! Xylan was stunned for a moment. She was reading the script, but suddenly she raised her head and looked at the assistant. The assistant explained. "They said that teacher Xiaogu had agreed to go, so they asked if you would like to record an episode together. She is a professional actor after all." Even though she felt uncertain after hearing this, Xylan didn't show any expression on her face. A few moments. She nodded her head gently and said softly, "Let's check the time. If appropriate, we can consider it." After all, he has shouted many times. The assistant laughed when she heard this. She was too embarrassed to expose Xylan. Is she willing to go because the actor Su yelled at her many times? She obviously went because of Gu Huiyan. Throughout September, Gu Huiyan was very busy. "Sometimes I can't even stand when I'm so busy. Commercial performances, announcements, endorsements, advertisements." The busy Gu Huiyan was dazzled by all kinds of jobs. At first, he would think about which job would pay how much. Later, when he had more jobs, he couldn't even count the money, so he just stopped counting them. Whatever he wanted. Also because of his busy schedule, Gu Huiyan almost forgot about what happened with Shang Zuoyan that night. Speaking of which, he and Pei Jingshu have had zero communication this month. What is worth mentioning is the strawberry mark. Gu Huiyan covered it for several days. He happened to have a performance in Hainan during those days. God knows how it felt during those 30 years with a scarf around Gu Huiyan's neck. He covered it with prickly heat and wanted to kiss it. Life. Even so, it was still discovered. Later, this matter was on a small hot search. There was no way, Gu Huiyan covered it because there was no silver 300 taels in this place. If he didn't cover it, it would be a bigger problem. At first glance, it was a strawberry mark. No matter what, you will be discovered. In the end, Gu Huiyan had no choice but to suppress the heat while explaining that it was a mosquito bite. Fortunately, he was very popular with the public and had a good reputation among the audience. In addition, the popularity of his new album was getting more and more popular among fans, so this matter did not have much rhythm. What makes Gu Huiyan a little confused is that even though he was trending because of strawberry printing, Pei Jingsha didn't send him a message. Gu Huiyan sometimes couldn't figure it out. Does she trust him too much or doesn't she care about him? He had zero communication with Shang Zuoyan after that day. Gu Huiyan didn't know what happened to her. He only occasionally checked the video updates and came across some videos of Shang Zuoyan paddling at the following concerts. There was even one scene where she danced and went straight down, which caused dissatisfaction among the audience and many people scolded her. Except for Gu Huiyan, probably no one knew what happened to Shang Zuoyan. Gu Huiyan didn't know how to find her. He was busy recently, so he had no choice but to escape. Just say that he performed 3 times a day just a few days ago. Speaking of performances, the audience at every show where Gu Huiyan is present is very enthusiastic. Isn't that because she sang Reverse War at Shang Zuoyan's concert? The popularity of the song began to skyrocket. Later, many times when I went to music festivals, the organizers specifically asked Gu Huiyan to sing this song. There is no way, as long as he sings Reverse War and the intro is played together, no matter where he is, he will instantly get excited. This made Gu Huiyan couldn't help but think that he could write more such high-burning songs in the future. Of course, the number of new appearances in the new album is not low. The more popular one is actually Summer. The chorus of this song is actually very suitable for offline performances. It is also very popular on short video platforms. You can often see the song used. A landscape video with the song as BGM. Speaking of new songs in the new album, I have to mention a song called Snail. Because this song is very inspiring and positive, at the end of the month, Gu Huiyan actually received an official authorization application, saying that he wanted to use it for official inspirational promotion. Because of this incident, the status of this song suddenly rose. It is said that Gu Huiyan has really received many official performance invitations during this period. It seems that it is because he is relatively down-to-earth and has a very upright artist image. There are also many inspirational songs in his works, and he is a popular mainland singer. Official, I am here to support him. Gu Huiyan even heard rumors that if everything goes well, he would be on the invitation list for next year's Spring Festival Gala. You don't have to think about it this year. It's already the second half of the year. It's definitely unrealistic. The list of people for the Spring Festival Gala is all decided at the beginning of the year. They are lined up for a year, and the confidentiality agreements are all signed at the beginning of the year. All in all, Gu Huiyan's career this month is really like being on a rocket, soaring upwards. Because there are also advertisements and endorsements, not only are Gu Huiyan's songs playing in the streets and alleys, but you can also often see Gu Huiyan's advertisements. You can occasionally see it on the subway. Netizens often take photos and post videos, saying, "My brother has become successful. Wait for something like this." He was promising, but for some reason, everyone gradually felt that Gu Huiyan was becoming a little distant from them, and it felt like he was becoming more and more like a star. Maybe that's the reason why he doesn't appear often and doesn't appear on many programs. Among the announcements he appears on, there are relatively few variety shows. Generally, celebrities can be seen privately in any variety show. If he doesn't appear on variety shows, doesn't he know less? It must have been around the beginning of the month that Suyuntang's food show suddenly announced the guests for the next episode on the official accounts of major social platforms. Movie King Su's food show is called a food guest. The show started very interestingly. First of all, it used the word Tang in Suyuntang's name, which is related to him. Secondly, there are some homophonic jokes in it. Logically speaking, it should be a food class, but they used the word foodie, which cleverly avoided the disadvantage of treating the program as a classroom and turned them who recorded the program into I-picked diners, which is quite ingenious. To be honest, when the name of the show Suyuntang came out, many people praised it and said that the person who came up with this name was a genius. In itself, because it is a program produced by Suyuntang himself, the quality is really good, and the editing, dubbing, etc. are quite stylish. Every city I go to and every guest I find has a good reputation. After a few episodes of the show, it may not be as popular as the original Crystal Love season, but it's still pretty good. Because most of the guests are friends of Suyuntang, and they are all well-known artists who have rarely seen popular artists, the audience will look forward to the guests in each episode, and the program team will also officially announce the guests in advance before each episode starts to attract traffic. But when the audience saw that the officially announced guests of this episode were Gu Huiyan and Xylan, it still exploded on the spot. Really or not? Xylan and Gu Huiyan are here. Wow, did you dream back to Crystal Love season for a moment? Yeching is back. No, brother, please ask Gu Huiyan. Have you forgotten the shadow brought by his night market limited edition of 5 Weijiao and iced black tea? My brother is so busy. Does he have time to come? I really didn't expect Xylan to be in the same frame as Suyuntang. This matter even became a hot search topic. Who would have thought that Suyuntang could invite Gu Huiyan here? In fact, Suyuntang didn't really want to invite Gu Huiyan. It wasn't that he didn't like him, but the main reason was that this kid was too embarrassing and down to earth. His show was more in line with his style. Suyuntang was afraid that he would ruin him. Inviting him here is partly because the program team suggested that he has a lot of traffic recently and is popular among people. Inviting him to come will definitely contribute a lot of gimmicks to the show, and he can even arrange a theme song or something, which is very cost-effective. On the other hand, it's because Suyuntang knew that Xylan could only come if Gu Huiyan came. He mainly wanted to see Siren. Well, for the audience, seeing Gu Huiyan, Xylan, and Suyuntang in the same frame is worth looking forward to, so the popularity of this hot search has really soared. Even Pei Jingshu, who had just returned from watching a show abroad, noticed it. Did we happen to be nearby on the day they were recording the show? She asked the assistant. If she remembered correctly, they happened to be going to Qingtang to take a group of photos that day, and the distance was quite close. Thinking that she hadn't seen Gu Huiyan for several months, and hadn't even made a phone call in the meantime, she suddenly wanted to see him and give him a surprise. Of course, there is also the factor of the strawberry print trending search after Gu Huiyan went to Shang Xueyan's concert guests some time ago. She does believe Gu Huiyan, but there are no women who are suspicious of this kind of thing. Thinking about it before Gu Huiyan called her specifically and looked like he was hesitant to speak. And recently, they almost lost contact. Apparently I occasionally sent a message some time ago. Although she knew that he was also busy with work, she always had a bad feeling. Women's intuition is often very accurate. It would be nice to meet him. Rest assured. It's okay to go, but we have to come back overnight. We may not have time to rest and have to sleep on the high-speed train, the assistant replied. Pei Jingshu chuckled and shook her head, saying only. It doesn't matter. If you were going to see him, what would happen if you didn't sleep? Gu Huiyan arrived in Quancheng the night before the recording. Yes, that's right, the designated location for a gourmet is the city where Gu Huiyan's hometown is. This is not specially designated for Gu Huiyan, but this is how the program is arranged. Su Yuntang has many artist friends, most of whom come from all over the country. Therefore, when the program was first created, the program format was formulated as follows: Su Yuntang goes to the city where each of his artist friends is located, and while having that friend be a guest, he also has that friend be a tour guide, taking Su Yuntang to play and eat. Every star has his own hometown, and all locals know the taste of their hometown. It has traffic and gimmicks, and it feels right. So strictly speaking, this show is also a travel show. Well, Gu Huiyan is from Quancheng. He took Pei Jingshu back to his hometown and was on the hot search for a while. Although the city is not a particularly popular city, it still has its own unique flavor. It is said that there are many natural springs here, and Su Yuntang has been famous for a long time, so he is very happy to check in here. Shall I be a tour guide? When Gu Huiyan arrived, after receiving the notice from the program team, he smiled bitterly and didn't know what to say. To be honest, although Su Yuntang's A Gourmet is quite popular, Gu Huiyan has never watched it at all. It's not that he doesn't want to watch it. He has been so busy recently that he doesn't even have time to play King of Kings, and he hasn't even sent a message to Pei Jingshu. Not to mention following variety shows. Do you have a script? Gu Huiyan asked the staff of the program team. The staff shook their heads. Their programs all depended on guest tour guides. They could do whatever they wanted. They just provided the funds. The program team was not short of money. Then you can rest assured and let me take them to play, Gu Huiyan asked with a smile. To be honest, the program team is not at ease here. Gu Huiyan is famous for being down to earth. He took the subway home last time and was afraid that he would do the same with Xilan and Su Yuntang. But in fact, if you think about it, these are also good gimmicks, so what the program team actually means is, even if you want to play like this, we have no problem with it. So after thinking about it for a long time, the program team came up with this sentence. As you wish. Ah. Gu Huiyan felt happy and said. I don't care, do these brothers Su agree? He will agree, the program team replied. Okay. Gu Huiyan smiled, and the program team was a little uneasy. In a blink of an eye, time came to the next day. Early morning. One food guest is launched. Gurgling. The camera of the program is cut with pictures of spring water that is characteristic of Quancheng. I'm coming. As soon as the broadcast started, the barrage began. Where is my brother? I haven't seen my brother on a variety show for a long time. I miss him so much. Is it the Quancheng where Gu Huiyan took Pei Jingshu home? Looking forward to it. Hee, my instinct tells me that today will look good. Maybe it's because the live broadcast of Crystal Love Season was well received and relatively successful, so Su Yuntang's food variety show also became a live broadcast. Because of Gu Huiyan and Xilan's stunt, the popularity of the show has skyrocketed. Before it started, there were tens of thousands of viewers squatting in the live broadcast room waiting for it to start. As soon as the broadcast started, more than 500,000 people rushed in just a few minutes, and it is still soaring. No way. Don't talk about Xilan and Su Yuntang. Just talk about Gu Huiyan. This old man has become so popular in the past 2 months. People often say that he is the new king of the music industry and is popular wherever he goes. It's overwhelming. Some time ago, there was an airport Reuters video. In the Good Guys video, he couldn't get out of the airport entrance. He was the only one who could open the sunroof in the car and stand up to say goodbye to everyone. After all, it is the first variety show he has participated in after Crystal Love Season, so many people will still support Gu Huiyan. Of course, Xilan is not bad either. Her new drama has been a big hit recently, and she has some past events with Su Yuntang that I have to mention. This episode itself is full of gimmicks. The flow rate is high, which is normal. Good morning everyone. On the first floor of the hotel in the early morning, the actor Su Yuntang was dressed very delicately. Today he wore a white sports coat with a black inner layer. The two colors contrasted perfectly, giving him the mature middle-aged manly temperament. Highlighted vividly. For the men's necklace around his neck, choose a brighter one so as not to make the inner lining too empty. As for the watch, it is actually more sporty. These small details will make him look more elegant. As for the hairstyle, it is still the familiar side profile. It is worth mentioning that Su Yuntang has recently grown a beard. The beard is relatively thick. Fortunately, he often takes care of it, so instead of making him look sloppy, the beard does not make him look sloppy. It will give people a very masculine feeling. After all, it is the actor Su Yuntang who is known as the walking hormone. Every time he appears on the scene, his uncle charm always fascinates thousands of girls. After saying hello to the audience, Su Yuntang briefly introduced the city they were in. In fact, the temperature in Quancheng in October is no longer so sultry. After the National Day, it starts to get colder. This city is magical. There are only summer and winter, not spring and autumn. You may have to wear a down jacket within a few days after taking off your short sleeves. Fortunately, they were still able to wear long sleeves during the few days they came. However, it is also worn in the morning and evening. You still have to wear short sleeves at noon. The temperature difference is so big that it can kill people. Just as Su Yuntang was introducing the city, a voice came from the hotel elevator. Good morning. A familiar voice appeared in the show footage. When the camera and Su Yuntang's eyes turned together, just in time, they saw Xylin, who was wearing a white dress and a pair of high heels, walking slowly with full aura. Wow! The moment they saw Xylin, the audience in the live broadcast room almost exploded on the spot. My sister is wearing all white today, how can she be so white? The white high-waisted trousers are 9-pointed and relatively slim but not tight, which fully highlights her long legs and her peach butt that has been highly searched for. The pure white shirt complements the color of the trousers. The collar is slightly open, a bit of whiteness is looming, and the cuffs are pulled up to make her look neat. She still has the familiar big wavy hair, and the whole style of a royal sister comes to her face. Her makeup is relatively standard, but what is distinctive is that she chose a lipstick shade today. Flaming red lips. God knows how contrasting those flaming red lips are with that white body, how conspicuous it is. The most stunning thing is the pair of gold-framed glasses that my sister is wearing in front of her eyes today, and the pair of high heels that are not very tall, but just show off her almost perfect feet in front of the audience. Such a sister, so cool and sassy, why would people drool? After all, it's the red carpet goddess Xylin. She is really good at dressing up. The moment she appeared on the scene, the show exploded. Sister. Beat my sister. You are so perverted. I've been under too much pressure recently. I'm sorry, Sister Xylin. Ah. She is so cute. I love her so much. Those gold-rimmed glasses are absolutely stunning. Not to mention them, even Su Yuntang was stunned. Xylin's beauty is never her temperament, figure, or appearance, but a combined aura. As soon as she appeared on the scene, she felt that other women, such as Xiajiabiu, everyone's lady, were all just like this. Mature women are definitely a killer. To be honest, Xylin and Su Yuntang were a bit reluctant to let others watch. They didn't want to be filmed by the camera, and they didn't want Gu Huiyan to record the program with them. He wanted to record it alone with Xylin. But obviously, this is not realistic. Just when the actor Su Gang was still thinking about Gu Huiyan. Quack. There was a familiar voice at the door. The hot-tempered Lanyan stepped on his combat boots and wore his jersey, and just appeared on the stage. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Participating in a love show, this little guy is too down to earth. Author, Buletin Shi Swan Shi Shui Xian. Chapter 206. So do you want to explain why you're still wearing slippers in October? After a few months, I saw Gu Huiyan again. Because of his recent popularity, the actor Su felt that this kid should have become a respectable person, a big star at least, and his food and clothing should be in a classy way. But it was obvious that he was overthinking it. Gu Huiyan seems to still have the same formula. He is still wearing a pair of big black cookies and a pair of flip-flops that look damn familiar. The upper body is wrapped in a long-sleeved coat, which is autumn clothes, but the lower body is still the same as summer. There are 2 seasons. The key is that this kid didn't even wear any makeup or hair when he was on the show, and he looked like a deer man on the roadside. The autumnal equinox is approaching at the end of September, and the temperature in Quancheng in October has begun to turn colder. Although the maximum temperature is still 27 or 8 degrees, it is also the hottest time at noon. The temperature difference between day and night here in autumn is quite big. The temperature difference between day and night is about 17 or 18 degrees. It is very early in the morning. Su Yuntang feels a little cold even if he goes out in the morning wearing a pair of long sleeves. Gu Huiyan is not bad, it is so hot. Trousers and flip-flops? Even if you were just trying to impress people, you wouldn't do this. Besides, you are so popular now, why do you still need to try to flatter others? Just seeing Gu Huiyan, Su Yuntang felt a lot of resentment in his heart. I was originally looking forward to meeting Gu Huiyan, but I didn't expect this kid to show up in such an image. No big words. Even the audience at this moment couldn't help but comment. You kid is knitting, are you sure you're not cold? Haha, although, it feels right. It's very memorable. Yeah King Hui, but are you really not cold, brother? All I can say is, it's hard to comment. Sister Pei, if you can't afford clothes, tell me and I'll buy them for you. At this time, everyone felt that Gu Huiyan's move might be a bit of a show, and it was a bit embarrassing to just use the boots and jersey joke. The mature sister Xilan put her hands around her chest. She covered her mouth and smiled softly. She looked at Gu Huiyan with interest, as if she couldn't understand why Gu Huiyan was still wearing such clothes in such weather. Regarding this, Gu Huiyan just shrugged, waved his hands, smiled bitterly and said, "No, I just had a friend who happened to pass by here when he was working in the morning. He called me and asked me if he could come down and meet. I just put on a coat temporarily and came down. The conscience of heaven and earth, he really didn't mean to be cunning and sensational. Gu Huiyan is a local, so he naturally has many local friends. The news that he was going back to his hometown to record a show with Xilan and Su Yuntang in the past 2 days has spread all over the internet. There were some friends that Gu Huiyan didn't have time to see when he came back last time. Naturally, he wanted to take the opportunity to meet him this time. Gu Huiyan also knew that the recording was about to start. He thought that he wouldn't need to put on makeup and just change clothes. He would go down to chat for a while and come back in time, so he went out to meet his friend. Because he went down in a hurry, he was wearing big pants and flip-flops in the hotel, and he just wrapped up a coat when he went out. So it's not really him trying to impress people, it's really just a coincidence. As soon as Gu Huiyan said this, Su Yuntang didn't know how to refute it. Xilan shook her head and looked at Gu Huiyan with a smile. She felt that after not seeing each other for several months, Gu Huiyan was still the same as before, with no change at all. Netizens couldn't help but comment. My brother is really, I'm crying to death. Even though he is so famous, he is always there when he is called. This kind of friend is really good. It's quite cold here in the morning. He's a celebrity. When his friends called him, he put on a summer dress and wrapped himself in a coat and hurried out. There's really no one around. To be honest, I was a little touched. Gu Huiyan is no longer an ordinary celebrity, he is almost at the top of the list, and his new album has established his position in the music world. It's really nice for a person with such fame and status, especially a public figure, to have personal friends readily available without any pretense at all. Just put on a coat and leave. His simplicity is always what the audience likes about him. I feel that as soon as his honest image appears in front of the camera, they will immediately like him. Okay. Ding, the host has successfully grounded himself and gained exposure, and the points are at 91x20. At this moment, the system gave a reminder for the points to be credited. Wait for me for a moment. I'll put on some clothes and come down right away. Sorry, we really talked too much just now. After explaining, Gu Huiyan apologized to Su Yuntang and Xylin with an apologetic expression, and then quickly ran upstairs to change clothes. He originally planned to go downstairs and chat for a while before coming up to change clothes and start recording the show. Result: because that brother was a close friend of Gu Huiyan's, and he hadn't seen him for a long time. He happened to be bringing his girlfriend, chattering and pulling Gu Huiyan to take photos and get autographs. The time passed unknowingly while chatting. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been caught on camera even when he came back just now. This kid. Su Yuntang looked helpless, shook his head and smiled. As soon as Gu Huiyan left, he and Xylin were the only ones left here. Su Yuntang couldn't help but turn his eyes to Xylin. He hadn't seen Xylin for a long time. Xylin started avoiding him after Crystal Love season. Some time ago, he went to visit Xylin's crew and didn't even see her. Xylin is still as beautiful and generous as he remembers. It's a bit sad to talk about this. If Gu Huiyan hadn't come today, Su Yuntang still might not be able to see Xylin. What made him feel most helpless was that when he turned to look at Xylin, Xylin was looking at Gu Huiyan's back disappearing at the elevator entrance, smiling, and her eyes were a little drawn. Creak. At that moment, the actor Queen Su's molars were broken. Fortunately, Siren quickly noticed him. Xylin smiled slightly, opened her arms generously, hugged Su Yuntang gently and politely, with a sense of distance and propriety. That hug somewhat cured some of the heartache of movie Emperor Su. Su Yuntang smiled helplessly and opened his mouth to say something, but because of his emotional intelligence, he didn't know what to say for a long time. In the end, Xylin, who was still considerate, said softly, "Haven't seen you for a long time." Hearing this, Su Yuntang couldn't help but smile. He seemed to feel that he was being pretentious, so he smiled with relief and pretended to be generous and said, "Haven't seen you for a long time." In the hotel lobby and in front of the camera, Xylin and Su Yuntang's words of long time no see quietly ignited the hearts of some netizens. Someone said at the beginning of the barrage, "It's hard to reconcile, but we finally reconciled." Gu Huiyan and Shang Xuoyan are the dissatisfaction of many people in Crystal Love season, so why not Xylin and Su Yuntang? After he confessed his love to Su Yuntang in a bar in Jiang that night, everyone on the internet felt sorry for Su Yuntang. Everyone was already satisfied to see them in the same frame again. To be honest, they really couldn't ask for much more. A few moments. Gu Huiyan, who had changed into fresh and smart sportswear, walked over from the elevator entrance. He still doesn't have any makeup or hairstyle, and his clothes look quite exquisite because they are sponsored by the brand. His image is still the refreshing boy next door that many people remember. Just when Gu Huiyan reappeared in the gourmet program in a formal image, the program team gave him an introduction. Gu Huiyan, a well-known musician and singer. Representative works, Sunny Day, Reverse War, Under the Flying Clouds, Light Chaser. When seeing this introduction, some viewers couldn't help but get goosebumps and felt a little emotional. My brother also got involved. Yes. When I first went to Crystal Love Season, except for Gu Huiyan, almost everyone had a separate personal introduction given to the production by the program team. This stuff often appears on variety shows. At that time, the personal introductions of Pei Jingshu, Xylan, Su Yuntang, Zhang Shuo, and Shang Zuoyan were making more money than the other. In the introductions of Xylan and Su Yuntang, in addition to the introduction of some relatively well-known masterpieces of movies and TV series, there are even special introductions to their achievements such as Golden Horse Best Actor, Golden Eagle Goddess, etc. Each one is quite enviable. Even Zhang Shuo, who has no well-known works, can still introduce several popular variety shows. Unlike Gu Huiyan, he didn't even have anything that could be called a work, and the program team didn't even create an introduction page for him. It's not that they don't want to make it, then they can't just make a big picture to introduce Gu Huiyan's name, and then. Representative works, none. Awards, none. Programs participated in, none. Finally, the whole amateur thing below. That would be hilarious. Since it wasn't easy to introduce, I simply didn't do it. But now, when Gu Huiyan appears again, just look at his introduction. Maybe it's true that he still hasn't won many awards, his popularity has been too short, and he hasn't had any great achievements yet, but in the masterpiece column, almost everyone knows and has heard every one of his songs. When you see the song title, you will automatically think of how to sing this song. These songs of his have been playing in the streets and alleys in recent months. Just for this alone, he has surpassed most people in the entertainment industry. Okay. You know, when there are many traffic and variety show stars who have no works and they go on shows and are introduced to them, many viewers have never heard of the works in the masterpiece column, let alone watched them, so the introduction is not embarrassing enough. Yes, it's a shame they dare to call it a masterpiece. Take a look at these masterpieces introduced by Gu Huiyan. Every song is widely circulated. How can these be called masterpieces? A fan of Gu Huiyan's eye bag even said. Look at it with your eyes wide open, what the hell? Barking. What the hell? Masterpiece. It elicited a burst of laughter. Hello, hello. Good morning. Long time no see, brother. Sister Xylan. At this time, Gu Huiyan had time to hug Xylan and Su Yuntang and say hello, with a look of emotion on his face. This is really not a show. Gu Huiyan came too late last night and didn't even have time to meet them. It's been a long time since they've seen each other and I really miss them. It is worth mentioning that after he and Xylan hugged, the two looked at each other for a moment, and Gu Huiyan looked away and did not dare to look directly at his sister. I can't help it, today's sister is too royal. Her white suit, gold-rimmed glasses, and high heels are too killer. Su Yuntang couldn't help laughing and said. I originally wanted to hold a reception banquet for you last night, but you arrived too late. When it was related to Xylan, he really hated Gu Huiyan, but after thinking about it, he still admired Gu Huiyan. After all, Gu Huiyan was more than half of his life-saving grace. Hey, don't. Gu Huiyan showed a rare display of high emotional intelligence and said with a smile. Now that you're here at my house, even if you have to pick up the wind, I should be the one to pick you up. He. Su Yuntang was amused by these words, and he couldn't help but ask. I heard someone said that you took an emotional intelligence class 2 days ago, and it seems to have worked. He turned his head and glanced at Zarin, who couldn't help but laugh. 2 days ago, there was a rumor on the internet that Gu Huiyan had recently signed up for an emotional intelligence class after work. Isn't that why he was often criticized for having no emotional intelligence and no education during Crystal Love season? Since he has become famous recently, the company has begun to make various preparations for him. Work. Not only is he taking emotional intelligence classes, but some people also say that Gu Huiyan is taking acting classes. The rumor is so evil. Gu Huiyan held his forehead silently, smiled bitterly, and said, I also have to have that time to go to class. Ever since the new album exploded, Gu Huiyan was so busy that he had no time to take any emotional intelligence classes, and those people didn't know what to brag about. Su Yuntang smiled and stopped joking. In front of the camera, he said, Then, let us first welcome today's guests, Gu Huiyan, Xilan, welcome. Pa bang bang. Everyone applauded together, Gu Huiyan and Xilan nodded in thanks. Then let's belatedly congratulate Xiaogu, his new album is a hit and he is becoming more and more famous. Congratulations. Su Yuntang continued. As he said this, he raised his hands and applauded. Although he had not forwarded Gu Huiyan's new album in any news, he still sent blessings to Gu Huiyan on his own show. Gu Huiyan smiled broadly and said, Your congratulations are really late. This has been popular for almost 2 months. As soon as these words came out. Haha. At that time, many viewers couldn't help laughing. Some netizens said, Gu Huiyan, you kid, people are just being polite, do you still take it seriously? I just said you have high emotional intelligence, so you immediately ruined your character. Gu Huiyan, I will tell everyone with practical actions that I really didn't take any emotional intelligence class. Ha ha ha. Actor Suye couldn't help but laugh, and told everyone in front of the camera that he didn't forward it but sent a private message to Gu Huiyan to congratulate him. Gu Huiyan also nodded and approved the matter. At that time, some people on the internet said that the two of them were at odds. This was considered to break the rumors. The two of them looked deeply in love, which caused another group of people to come out in the comment area to knock Gu Huiyan and Su Yuntang. It's funny to say that as early as Crystal Love season, there were many people knocking against this couple. Gradually, the evil couple became popular, and there was no one left. Let's go first. A few people walked out while chatting. Su Yuntang said to Xilan. Actually, when I first met him, I never thought he could become so famous so quickly. Xilan also nodded slightly, saying that her sister didn't seem to talk much today. She was always looking after Huiyan from beginning to end and didn't talk much. It was Gu Huiyan and Su Yuntang talking. One funny thing is that while Gu Huiyan was chatting with Su Yuntang, Xilan looked on with a smile and didn't interrupt. Some people said that Xilan was on the front line of sugarcoating. But it's disgusting to many serious CP fans. It was a direct curse. You're so evil, just be evil, don't be disgusting. While laughing, several people left the hotel. Su Yuntang had a pleasant chat with Gu Huiyan, and even asked Gu Huiyan, Where's the car? The entrance to the hotel was empty, not a single car came by. The program flow of a foodie is to leave the whole process to local guests and friends. This episode is Gu Huiyan's home field, so it must be handed over to Gu Huiyan. To be honest, the actor Su was not worried about Gu Huiyan at first, but he tolerated it just because Xilan could come. It was only at this moment that the actor Su suddenly realized that something was not quite right. There are no cars at the door. How can they get around and experience the city? Xilan also looked at Gu Huiyan in confusion. Oh, this way, come with me. Gu Huiyan did not explain this, but silently took out his mobile phone to open the navigation, directed a location, and then took Xilan and Su Yuntang away. Call. Su Yuntang breathed a sigh of relief, thinking that maybe Gu Huiyan's car was parked aside, and he planned to drive them by himself. But who knows? Gu Huiyan took them all the way and came to a bus stop. At that time, the barrage went crazy, and the screen was filled with question marks. Netizens expressed, No. Gulalu, You don't want to take the actor Sue and my sister Zylan to take the bus, right? Ft. Ha ha ha, it does seem like something he, Gu Huiyan, would do, ha ha ha. Sister Zylan dressed up so exquisitely today, you took her on the bus. It's a shame you figured it out. The corner of actor Sue's mouth twitched. He never thought that Gu Huiyan would take them on the bus. We've already arrived at the bus stop sign. Isn't it obvious? What the hell? It's not that he dislikes buses, it's mainly because they record the show and dress up so exquisitely. It's quite a contrast when taking a bus, right? And it's easy to be recognized. Look. As soon as they arrived at the stop sign, several people nearby who were also waiting for the bus noticed them. There was nothing they could do, and they didn't want to be noticed. The main thing was that there were 3 or 4 camera guys following them with cameras. The actor Sumomo held his forehead. Yes, he knew that Gu Huiyan, an old man, didn't play by the rules. Zylan pursed her lips and smiled lightly. Her sister had flaming red lips today, and when she pursed her lips, she looked more attractive. To be honest, she also liked watching Gu Huiyan and Su Yuntang together. The two styles were very contrasting. Gu Huiyan could always make Su Yuntang the treatment is submissive and docile. Gu Huiyan. Is it Gu Huiyan? Are you recording a show? Ah. It's Siren. Several young people came up at the stop sign, chattering and looking very excited. Gu Huiyan chuckled and replied, yeah, this is indeed a recording program. There is no celebrity pretensions at all, just like an ordinary dear man who was approached on the street. Zylan is really so popular. Her outfit today is really crazy. The little girls' faces turned red with excitement, and they looked at their sister with envy in their eyes. What is this? Next to them, 2 old ladies carrying trolleys, probably going to the market to buy vegetables, looked at their posture and couldn't help but mutter. At this time, Gu Huiyan, a social gangster, came up and said, Grandma is recording the show. What's funny is that the 2 old ladies are locals and speak the local dialect, and Gu Huiyan is also a local and speaks the local dialect. As soon as his Shandong dialect comes out. Puff. The live broadcast room burst into laughter at that time. Everyone said. To be honest, Shandong Diao is indeed a killer that claims to be able to destroy all medical beauty treatments. I have long heard that Shandong dialect has a great influence on appearance. Gu Huiyan has been working hard for so long and I have never thought he was ugly. Today, when he spoke Shandong dialect, I really. Ha ha ha, this is the first time I heard Gu Huiyan speak Shandong dialect. This kid is already quite unsophisticated, but when he speaks Shandong dialect, he is really amazing. Please Gu Huiyan, please don't embarrass me, okay? Just speak Mandarin. Listening to his local accent, both Su Yuntang and Zylan couldn't help laughing. Their intuition told them that today's journey would be interesting. Participating in a love show, this little guy is too down to earth. Author, Buletin Shi Swan Shi Shui Xian. Chapter 207. Chapter 207. I changed chapters 202 and 203, but I felt it was not quite right and caused some discomfort. Friends who have read it can go back and read it again. I'm sorry. I also thought about it. In fact, the main reason for this is that I have written too many cool articles in the past, so I just got used to writing around the protagonist. Everything is based on the protagonist. But obviously, this set was not very popular at the starting point, so some problems arose. Then I had a cold a few days ago and was not in a good state. My mind was a little confused and I couldn't think clearly about the plot. The amount of updates also made me feel a little stressed. If your mind gets messed up in the future, you should write more slowly. If you take a leave of absence, you won't mess up the plot if you update slowly. Finally, I want to say, this is my first time writing a book at Kidian. No one has ever asked me so many questions before. To be honest, I'm really not used to it. This book has a lot of negative fans, and my operations officer even complained to me. To be honest, I have been writing books for a long time. Normally, I have my own judgment on whether the plot is good or bad. I have never changed the text despite being scolded before. Because writing and reading are different. This time, I do feel that there are some problems. The main reason is that the chapter about Shang Xuan and the protagonist is a bit too obscene. She should not be like those supporting actresses who hook up with the protagonist and flirt with the protagonist every day. Keep writing this. I feel like the writing on her was a lot wrong, and it would be much more pleasing to the eyes if I revise it. That is it. So if you say you stand upright after being beaten, that's what I did. I never refuse to listen to advice. If I make a mistake, I will correct it. I think I will get better and better as I get used to it. To put it bluntly, I hope everyone will bear with me. Those who originally wanted to ask for a monthly ticket didn't dare to ask for it. No more talking, let's just write down the words. Let's leave it like this for now. We'll talk about it later if we have anything to do. Participating in a love show, this little guy is too down to earth. Author, Buletin Shi Swan Shi Shui Xian. Chapter 208. Gu Huiyan is actually quite handsome. It has been about half a year since Crystal Love Season debuted, but he has been frequently hacked and exposed on the internet every now and then. Some say he is rustic, some say he has no quality, some say he has low emotional intelligence and is rude. But I didn't say he was ugly. He became a trainee in the first place because he was handsome, and he was among the best among his peers. If he didn't get killed in the domestic entertainment talent show, Gu Huiyan would be a boss who could rely on his reputation to earn a living. When I was in Crystal Love Season, I was in the same frame as top PD Zhang Shuo and never lost to him. He is popular now, and his popularity nourishes people. After watching him for a long time, he becomes more pleasing to the eye, and everyone feels that this young man becomes more and more handsome and attractive. But only today. Don't know why. When he opened his mouth to speak Shandong dialect, some viewers immediately said that they felt like their filter for Gu Huiyan was broken. Why did they feel that this guy suddenly lost his appearance and became ugly? He usually behaves like a villager in everything he does, and you feel that he is too vulgar and the lower limit is low enough. But when he speaks Shandong dialect, well, the limit is lowered infinitely again. Is that possible? It really makes people dumbfounded. However, there is a saying that although Gu Huiyan, who speaks Shandong dialect, is unsophisticated, he inexplicably gives people a very cheerful feeling. Shandong is the birthplace of Confucian culture and the hometown of Confucius and Mencius. There has never been an emperor or a rebel in history. You can say that Confucianism has harmed many people, but it is undeniable that the people here are relatively down to earth. This is reflected in many of their dialects. Just like the dialects from the Northeast, it's fun to hear them. Are we going to take the bus? At this time, Su Yuntang finally couldn't help but ask. Xylan couldn't help laughing, and the audience also laughed. It's no wonder that they were mainly. The program A Gourmet has been filmed for several episodes. From the first stop in Beijing, no matter where we go, the means of transportation have never been ordinary. When he went to Inner Mongolia, his local friend took him riding a horse. When he went to XJ, his local friend flew out his private jet to pick him up. Su Yuntang. Last month Su Yuntang went to Hainan, and his friend even bought him a yacht. Each one is more exaggerated than the other. I don't know how it turned out to be a bus when we arrived at Gu Huiyan's place. This gap is too big. Last month it was a yacht, but this month it's a bus. I don't know, but I'm still thinking that Su Yuntang is really a fool. Let's just say that Gu Huiyan is a top-notch guy after all. You don't want to talk about getting some yachts, planes, etc., but you must at least have a special car, right? What the hell is a bus? Ha, right. Gu Huiyan grinned and nodded, not feeling anything was wrong. Seemingly seeing Su Yuntang's doubts, he explained. It's quite congested here. During the morning rush hour in the city, buses will be faster. There are dedicated bus lanes, so things won't be delayed. There's nothing wrong with that. Jingxi Road is wide, long, and wide, with 24 lanes in both directions and more than 90 kilometers. It can even be used as an airstrip like a highway, but there are so many cars. Anyone who has not been stuck on Jingxi Road during the morning and evening rush hours, looking at the endless traffic flow with a look of despair on his face, should not refute it. Being known as one of the most congested cities in the country is not a joke. The urban development is not as good as that of Beijing, Shanghai, and Guangzhou, but the traffic jams can rank among the top 10 in the country with them every year, and they are so talented. Gu Huiyan knew in advance that the morning rush hour was very congested, so he thought he could take the bus with them. The buses in the city here are relatively convenient. They run every 10 minutes and are very frequent. As long as it is not a holiday, even the buses passing through the train station will not be crowded. Anyway, we are traveling light, the weather is not as hot as it was some time ago, and taking the bus is convenient and fast, so why not? To be honest, if I drive, there is really no place to park. As for the parking space in the parking lot, I really... Gu Huiyan couldn't help but complain, saying that one time he went shopping with a friend at a clothing mall in the city. The friend had just bought a new car and wanted to take a walk. He thought that there was a parking lot in the city anyway, but when he entered the parking lot, he couldn't help but complain. When he saw the parking space painted right next to his car, he felt numb. Novices don't dare to stop even if there is a reversing image, okay. On a slightly wider car, the rear view mirror can touch the car next to it. Originally, he wanted to take Xylan and Su Yuntang to play by car today, but considering the difficulty of parking, he decided not to do it. You can look down on buses, but you absolutely cannot deny that buses are much more convenient than driving in urban areas where there are many cars, and the most important thing is cheap. If nothing else, let's just talk about the one Gu Huiyan and the others took. For 2 yuan, you can ride for dozens of kilometers. This is considered expensive. Gu Huiyan remembers that he used to work in the city during the summer vacation. In the summer, buses with air conditioning were priced at 2 yuan, while buses without air conditioning only cost 1 yuan. It seems to be gone now. Gu Huiyan has never seen it again. Of course, he does not deny that it is because he rarely takes public transportation. You kid. After hearing what he said, some viewers were happy and couldn't help but express. Don't tell me, he has considered everything. One thing to say, urban areas are generally quite crowded. When I go to the urban area here, I take the subway and bus. I don't drive even if there is a car. It's really hard to park. Haha, I basically don't drive a car at home. As long as it's not difficult to park wherever I go in the countryside, I'd rather ride an electric bike. Driving is comfortable, but parking is really a flaw. If you're not stuck in traffic, you'll be stuck in traffic for hours. If you're not looking for a parking space, you'll have to circle around the same road 5 or 6 times. Don't come here. Related. Ding, the host has successfully grounded himself and gained exposure, and the points are at 91x20. At this time, the system also gave Gu Huiyan a payment reminder. Su Yuntang originally wanted to retort and say that if you don't want to drive, you can call a driver to drive for us instead of taking the bus. Fine. As a result, Xylan, who was dressed in white next to her, suddenly took the lead and said, "At this time, there are people waiting for the bus at the bus stop. They are going anywhere and doing anything. Taking the bus is actually the best way to experience the charm of the city." Compared to Su Yuntang, Xilan actually approved of Gu Huiyan's behavior. Speaking of it, she hadn't taken a bus for a long time and had almost forgotten the feeling of taking a bus. As soon as Su Yuntang said this, he didn't know how to answer it. The main theme of Su Yuntang's program A Gourmet is called Experience the Charm of Each City. Although the previous episodes were very luxurious, with private jets and yachts, it was quite enjoyable to watch, but occasionally some people can't bear it. Keep complaining. He said that his show is just like a show showing off their wealth. They eat, drink, and play all kinds of things that many viewers don't have access to at all, and they feel that they are very different from them. You said that the charm of a city is really only those luxurious things. Food, is it true that only specialty restaurants with a large number of local aristocrats can be called representatives of the city? No. The snacks hidden in the streets and the roadside stalls in the morning can also be the representatives of the city's food. How can you experience the charm of the city by flying in the sky or floating in the sea? Only by walking down to earth in the city can you experience the charm of the city. And coincidentally, when sitting on the bus, you can not only see the scenery outside the window, but also hear the exchanges between people on the bus. This down-to-earth pyrotechnic atmosphere is the charm of the city. Fine. Su Yuntang, who understood this, stopped making excuses. He shook his head and smiled, then nodded in approval. Hey, here we come. Just then, the bus they were going to take arrived, and a few people got on the bus. Because of the camera guy, they went straight to the back of the car and sat in the front, which was too blocking passers-by. It is worth mentioning that Gu Huiyan and Su Yuntang each chose a double seat, and Xilan walked at the back. Originally, Su Yuntang wanted to call her to sit there, but Xilan glanced around, and then he sat directly next to Gu Huiyan. Puff. At that time, the camera showed Su Yuntang, and some netizens were very happy. It had been a long time since they had seen boiling yang, and they still missed it a little. Gu Huiyan and Xilan on the other side didn't think anything of it. Aha! Gu Huiyan yawned as soon as he sat in the car, looking sleepy and wanting to sleep. What time did you arrive yesterday? Xilan asked. It's past 1 o'clock, it's already midnight, Gu Huiyan replied. So late. It's bad. I'm used to it. I haven't slept at a normal time in the past 2 months. Irregular work and rest schedules and staying up late are not good for your health. It's okay, you're young. The two of them were chatting, and Xilan suddenly frowned and said, your voice doesn't sound right. Do you have a cold? Gu Huiyan scratched his head and had to say that Sister Xilan was very detail-oriented. His assistant didn't even notice that he had a cold this morning. He said, maybe I didn't cover myself with a quilt last night, so I caught a cold. Xilan pursed her lips and said softly, my assistant has some cold medicine. I'll get some for you later. No, it will be fine in 2 days. It's okay if you don't take medicine. No. Xilan's tone was very light, but it gave people an unquestionable feeling. Gu Huiyan had no choice but to agree. To be honest, Sister Xilan is really good at taking care of people, gentle and caring. Of course, Su Yuntang has never had this kind of tenderness and thoughtfulness, so he is quite envious. Seeing Gu Huiyan chatting with Xilan and leaving him alone as the boss, he felt a little awkward, so he simply interrupted and asked Gu Huiyan, is Xiaogu very busy recently? That's more than just busy. Gu Huiyan shook his head and smiled bitterly, do you think I'm joking about rushing 2 or 3 performances a day? Then do you think it's better to be busy or not to be busy? Su Yuntang chuckled. He was trying to dig a hole for Gu Huiyan. Fortunately, Gu Huiyan was a more down-to-earth person. He grinned and said, if I said I wasn't busy, I would slap myself twice. As soon as these words came out, ha ha, provoked a burst of laughter. After Gu Huiyan became famous, some of his previous information was exposed. Everyone knows that he is a trainee who has been hidden for several years. He has endured hardship. The more this kind of person is, the more he knows that there is a job for an artist. What a luxury. I am no longer busy, but I still have a headache. Are you tired? Su Yuntang couldn't help but ask. Actually, I want to say I'm tired, but... Gu Huiyan grinned. He did look a little tired in front of the camera. He didn't have any makeup. There were some dark circles under his eyes, and his eyelids were always droopy as if he had no energy. He has been really tired lately. He often doesn't sleep well, often stays up late, catches various performances, and accepts various endorsements and advertisements. Sometimes, even if the hotel room is open for a whole day, he can't even stay for half of it. But he didn't complain. He just raised his hand and pointed out the window of the bus and said, "Look at them, who among them is not tired?" At this time, the bus happened to be driving to Jingxi Road. At this time, Su Yuntang and Xilin had seen the scale of the city's morning rush hour. Not only is there a long queue of cars with no end in sight, but the most distinctive thing on Jingxi Road is the army of electric cars. You can see the dense army of electric vehicles on the non-motorized lanes next to the city's main roads, which are more numerous than cars. This city may not be among the top 10 in the country for traffic jams, but it is definitely in the top 3 for the number of electric vehicles. Even higher. It is the morning rush hour, and these people on the road are probably rushing to go to work. Each of them is contributing to the operation of the city. They are doing various jobs. Who among them is not working hard? In a word, Su Yuntang and the others were left in silence. Yes, look at these people outside the window, who is not tired? Who is not running for a living? For example, the delivery boys in yellow robes are very conspicuous in the army of electric vehicles. They have to deliver food no matter how cold or hot it is. Don't you think they are tired? For example, the taxi driver doesn't feel tired after driving all day, but at the end of the day his cervical spine is also very sore. Do you think he is not tired? Going a little closer, let's talk about the camera teachers right in front of them. They followed Gu Huiyan and the others with their cameras all day long. Aren't they tired? Don't try to make anyone understand your hard work. Everyone in this world is tired, and no one is truly relaxed. In Gu Huiyan's own words, he felt that he was not qualified to say it was hard work. Because of his tiredness, the reward he can get, that is, money, is very high. It's something many people can't imagine. Maybe he has only been busy these few months, but the money he has earned is more than many people can earn in several lifetimes. His current advertising quotation starts at 1.8 million, and the price of commercial performances is not lower than this, but look at them outside. No matter how tired they are every day, can they make as much money as Gu Huiyan? Impossible. Among the workers who provide dust and sand on the construction site, the delivery boy, and the chef in the restaurant, who is not more tired than him? You earn more than others, but work less than others. You live in a high-end hotel, and you receive so many compliments and flowers. There are many glamorous people serving you all day long. Gu Huiyan, who has the right to say the word tired? At this time, the early morning sunlight just reflected through the car window onto the white sports jacket that Gu Huiyan was wearing. Wow! At the moment when Gu Huiyan pointed at the crowd of people outside the bus during the morning rush hour and said, "None of them are tired," some viewers couldn't help but get goosebumps. Some people say that Gu Huiyan is really handsome at this moment. It's not the sunshine that sets it off, but the person who says this is so handsome. After all, they were from the bottom, and he knew how hard these people worked. I also know that he is just an ordinary normal person, and he doesn't think it is so shameful for a celebrity to take a bus for 2 yuan. He doesn't complain and is always down to earth. This attitude is quite appreciated by many viewers. Pa bang! Xilan couldn't help but raise her hand to applaud Gu Huiyan. Her sister's flaming red lips pursed slightly, looking very lustful. Although Su Yuntang nodded in approval, looking at Xilan's eyes looking at Gu Huiyan, he had a headache. He obviously wanted to change the topic, but why did Gu Huiyan stall it again? What the hell? He couldn't help but change the topic again and said. Have you seen Jingshu recently? He asked. Xilan's eyes, who were sitting next to Gu Huiyan, suddenly flickered for a moment, and her eyebrows frowned for a moment, but they quickly disappeared. As long as no one noticed it? Puff. The audience also laughed. They heard the plan of the actor Su from all over the country. They all said that Gu Huiyan went to the emotional intelligence class, and now they were all thinking, did Su Yuntang also go to the Eyes of Mind class? I've been really smart lately, hey. Everyone knows that the topic has been specifically transferred to Pei Jingshu. It's amazing that this Fei Yanjiang is so smart. Gu Huiyan was stunned for a moment when he heard this. To be honest, no one had talked to Pei Jingshu in front of him for a while. We haven't seen each other for a long time. Gu Huiyan smiled bitterly and said this. His words reminded people of what Pei Jingshu said on the stage to Gu Huiyan, who was watching the show during the Singer of the Times competition. It also reminds people of Huiyan's answer. It wasn't that long, just 7 days, 11 hours, and 51 minutes. And when Gu Huiyan now says long time no see, it really makes people feel quite sad. Who doesn't know that the less they gather together, the more they stay apart? When did we last meet? Actor Su continued to ask. Perhaps. Gu Huiyan thought for a while and said. It must be 3 or 4 months. In fact, we haven't seen each other since we separated from here last time, not even a video, and only a few words on the phone. During this period, Gu Huiyan was very worried about Shang Zuoyan's affairs. He was also extremely busy, so he gradually lost contact with her. They all know that they are busy. In this regard, the actor Su was considerate and said with a smile. Do you want to call her now? As soon as these words came out, Xilande frowned slightly, feeling a little unhappy. The audience got a little excited. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Participating in a love show, this little guy is too down to earth. Author, Buletin Shi Swan Shi Shui Xian. Chapter 209. Forget it? Gu Huiyan shook his head and said. She's quite busy. She often calls and her assistant answers the call. She doesn't call anymore. Those who heard this were quite sad. At this time, some netizens in the comment area began to speculate. Did something happen to the two of them? It's just a couple on screen, how can this be serious? Are they an on-screen couple? You're just thinking too much. Take one. Actor Su smiled and said. Maybe she'll just pick it up. After hearing this, everyone looked at Gu Huiyan. Fine. Gu Huiyan thought for a while and didn't refuse. After all, he hadn't called Pei Jingshu for a while. He was so busy recently that he didn't even send a message. Xilan, a mature sister dressed in white, raised her hand and gently teased the big waves. She pursed her lips and smiled bitterly. She suddenly regretted sitting next to Gu Huiyan. Is this the first time she wanted to eat dog food? She doesn't really want to eat. Beep, beep. Gu Huiyan's phone number was dialed. Hello. What was a bit surprising was that Pei Jingshu actually accepted the call. That voice sounds like Pei Jingshu. As a well-known actress with tens of millions of fans on the internet, who can't recognize her voice? Huh? You are here. Even Gu Huiyan was a little surprised when he heard it and couldn't help but smile. I thought you were busy at this time. No, I was just resting. Pei Jingshu's voice was soft and gentle as she asked. What's wrong? Is something wrong? After hearing this, Gu Huiyan was a little silent for a while. He couldn't help but smile and said, "Can't you call me if you have nothing to do? Why do they always seem to call when something happens?" Every time Gu Huiyan calls, she always asks if something is okay first. Pei Jingxu chuckled. She was used to this and just said, "How come?" It wasn't that she didn't let Gu Huiyan make phone calls. Several times he called and his assistant answered the call. She also called him back when she found out, but gradually Gu Huiyan called him less and less. She is not the kind of girl who takes the initiative, even in love. The two of them were chatting about where they were, whether they had eaten, whether they were busy at work, and whether they were taking care of themselves. Wait for these. The topic was quite plain, and many viewers couldn't bear to listen. At this time, someone started to say something funny in the barrage of the show. "Why do you feel like these two don't know each other well?" As soon as these words came out. Puff. Ha ha ha. It caused a burst of laughter. Indeed, it feels like Gu Huiyan is no longer familiar with Pei Jingxu, who was so sweet before. Or are they really just a couple on screen and don't communicate at all on a daily basis? Even Su Yuntang couldn't stand listening anymore and couldn't help but say, "Do you two usually chat so blandly?" He felt that there should be a barrage to question the two of them. Originally, they had not done any joint marketing in the past few months. Because of the strawberry mark on Gu Huiyan's neck some time ago, various rumors were flying in the sky. Now the two are chatting all day before the show. If they are so plain, doesn't this make people question them? Hee hee. Even Xylin couldn't help laughing. My sister thought she would eat a mouthful of dog food, but after a long time of fussing, it was just porridge and pickles. Gu Huiyan scratched his head and smiled bitterly, not knowing how to explain it. It was Pei Jingxu on the other end of the phone. Because of the hands-free mode, she heard Su Yuntang's voice and asked, "Are you recording a show?" "Ah yes." Gu Huiyan nodded and said that it was at Su Yuntang's, a gourmet restaurant where Su Yuntang and sister Xylin were both there. "Jingxu." Su Yuntang and Xylin also greeted Pei Jingxu on the other end of the phone, and Pei Jingxu responded politely to them. After they finished saying hello, Gu Huiyan smiled and said, "They said our chat was too mundane." "Have it?" Pei Jingxu didn't think so. She smiled and said, "Then we can't just say I like you, I love you every day, right?" She seemed a little shy when she said this, as if she was ashamed to say some words, but she just said it like that. Oh. At the show, many viewers started to light up and felt that it was starting to get a little sweet. What was even more surprising was that Gu Huiyan actually replied, "Why not? Hey." Some fans in the comment area couldn't stand it, and everyone said, "Gulalu, you just said you weren't familiar with me. Are you trying to tease me, Sister Pei, in front of me?" Gu Huaqiang, not only did I flirt, I even slept with him. Ah! Kill Gu Go and rob Sister Pei. On the other end of the phone, Pei Jingxu's pretty face was slightly red. She happened to be watching Su Yuntang's program, so she could actually see Gu Huiyan's expression. She is really not a girl who likes those disgusting and greasy love words. Probably the bravest thing she has ever done about relationships in her life is to take the initiative to confess to Gu Huiyan when they were in Yunnan. If you want her to be like those little girls every day, saying baby, love you, like you, etc., she really can't do it. But listening to what Gu Huiyan said today, it seems that he is not very resistant to this. Yes. She had forgotten that he was a straight man. These straight men may find those love words greasy, but they really can't refuse them. Normally, she wouldn't even send a message to Gu Huiyan, let alone those. Thinking of this, Pei Jingxu suddenly felt that she was not too interested in Gu Huiyan. For a moment, she didn't know how to answer. Why don't you speak? It was Gu Huiyan who couldn't help but ask with a smile, thinking he had scared Pei Jingshu. To be honest, it's easy to become strangers if you don't keep in touch all the time. This is true for any relationship other than family ties, so what about lovers? For those long-distance lovers who only see each other once every year and a half, it's common for them to not recognize each other when they meet face to face. Something. You're like Gu Huiyan and Pei Jingshu. They haven't seen each other for several months and haven't even sent messages to each other. Isn't it just like what the audience said just now? Isn't it like they don't know each other well? Just for this period of time. Gu Huiyan himself felt that his relationship was in a mess because of the incident with Shang Zuoyan. He felt a little sorry for Pei Jingshu, and he didn't dare to talk to her on the phone. She also had such a mature temperament that she didn't have time to take the initiative to talk to Gu Huiyan when she was busy. After doing this, it really feels a lot lighter. On the other end of the phone, Pei Jingshu didn't speak for a long time. After a while, when Gu Huiyan couldn't help but ask again, she finally said. Then, I like you. A word from Pei Jingshu. Everyone present was immediately silenced. Who could have imagined that this dog food would come so suddenly, so unexpectedly, so unprepared? Just do it hard. But I don't know why, but it's so damn sweet. Aw. The barrage went viral, and the audience couldn't help but express. This is more uncomfortable than being killed by a shark. I can only say that this is difficult to comment on. Who said that two people can share the screen together? Come and stand up. Sister Pei. You can't spoil him like this. Are you going to give him whatever he wants? She is indeed the love brain we are familiar with, my god. In the audience's impression, Pei Jingshu doesn't look like this kind of girl who is submissive and does whatever others say. At least it's impossible for a husband to have sex with his wife, right? Even in her relationship with Gu Huiyan, the impression she gave everyone at the beginning was that she didn't like to express it very much. But now Gu Huiyan gave a brief hint, and her love words came out of her mouth. Who would have thought that Pei Jingshu could say I like you to Gu Huiyan so casually? This means she's not here. If she were here and Gu Huiyan asked, would she kiss him directly? Fans can't stand it anymore. They want to say that Sister Pei, you are too obedient. I go. Even Su Yuntang couldn't help but hold his forehead silently and said with a wry smile. I take back what I said before that your chat was dull. Is this so bland? I wish I could just stuff dog food into people's mouths. The mature sister Xylan rolled her eyes and looked like she was choked. There was a bit of loneliness deep in her eyes, but she just didn't show it in front of the camera. She is a professional actor after all. This place is already explosive enough. The corner of Gu Huiyan's mouth never moved down because Pei Jingshu's words reached the base of his ears. Who would have thought that Pei Jingshu would say something else next? If you like it, I'll just say it often. The hands-free voice of the mobile phone was transmitted to the audience through the microphone. It was not very clear, but everyone could still clearly hear the very strong tone in Pei Jingshu's tone. Shame. She is Pei Jingshu, the cold and cold beauty. Not to mention what others think of her, she herself doesn't usually think she would say such a thing. But she still said this. That strong contrast suddenly made the audience excited. Someone said. She is truly a love brain. I really deserve this title. He, okay, he. What's funny is that Gu Huiyan smiled so stupidly that his mouth reached to the base of his ears. Puff. The audience didn't hold back and couldn't help but express. Can you, kid, stop smiling like an idiot? Okay, I know you're happy, so take it back. MD can't stand it anymore, who will come with me to go to the real Gulalu offline? Just looking at the way Gu Huiyan and Pei Jingshu look now, some viewers want to say that it will be really difficult for them to end without getting married. It's hard. Pook. His idiotic smile also amused Pei Jingshu. She blushed and asked. Are you so happy? I have. Gu Huiyan scratched his head and looked up at the camera. Audience. Aim. Did you say you did? Just pee yourself and take a photo. The actor Su also rolled his eyes and suddenly regretted asking Gu Huiyan to call Pei Jingshu. This is dog food. It is worth mentioning that Xylin couldn't sit still next to Gu Huiyan, so she simply got up and went to sit in the back. As soon as his sister left, Gu Huiyan scratched his head angrily and calmed down a little. After briefly chatting with Pei Jingshu, they arrived at the station and Gu Huiyan hung up the call with Pei Jingshu. After hanging up the phone, he explained it in front of the camera, saying that they really didn't chat much. When they were busy, the assistant would sometimes answer the phone. It was normal for some people to say that they were not familiar with each other. After hearing this, everyone suddenly felt sorry for them, and felt that their long-distance relationship was quite painful. Green pound this way. After hanging up the phone, Pei Jingshu sat on a chair, holding her cell phone, in a daze. She is still so beautiful, with a beautiful oval face, and every facial feature complements each other. She has a skinny but very curvaceous figure, an almost perfect head-to-neck ratio, a head-to-shoulder ratio, and a cool temperament. These are her plus points. Wearing a dark blue close-fitting gauze skirt, the black length is straight, smooth, and shiny, making the whole person look like a fairy. What are you giggling about? The agent's sister Pei Ya just came back from communication work there and asked. That's right, although Pei Jingshu was in a daze at this time, she was also smiling stupidly, and the corners of her mouth never came down. In the past, Pei Ya was not often asked to laugh in front of the camera. After all, her persona was a cold beauty, but recently this request was rarely made. After all, this persona also collapsed with the love between Gu Huiyan and Pei Jingshu. About there? No, it's nothing. Pei Jingshu shook her head slightly and did not tell her sister that she had just spoken to Gu Huiyan on the phone. Don't think I don't know anything. Pei Ya rolled her eyes and said. Aren't you just planning to go there tomorrow night to surprise him? Ah. Pei Jingshu looked like she was a guilty thief and said. Who said that? How could? Okay, stop pretending. Pei Ya pointed to her assistant, indicating that she had told her already. Last time Pei Jingshu secretly followed Gu Huiyan home without telling her, she had given her assistant a special lesson. How could the assistant dare to lie to her? When Pei Jingshu looked at the assistant looked apologetic. She had no choice but to offend Pei Ya and her job would not be guaranteed. A pair of slender, skinny, white jade hands gently placed on her forehead and rubbed it gently. Pei Jingshu said helplessly and a bit stubbornly. I'm going. She spoke very lightly, but there was an irresistible firmness in her tender eyes. She hasn't seen Gu Huiyan for several months. This is the longest time they have been separated since they fell in love. Just now, it was just a phone call. The few words spoken on the phone made Gu Huiyan so happy. Pei Jingshu couldn't imagine how happy he would be when he really saw her. So of course she was going. Who said you won't be allowed to go? Surprisingly, instead of refuting this time, Pei Ya said this. Pei Jingshu. She looked at her sister in disbelief, and then at the assistant. She didn't understand what kind of medicine her sister was selling in her gourd. Isn't she stupid because her family is urging her to go on a blind date? Pei Ya rolled her eyes and explained to Pei Jingshu. You can go, but you can't go in vain. You have to be smart. If possible, let that kid write a song for you or something. To be honest, Pei Ya has nothing to do with Pei Jingshu's love brain at this stage. Anyway, Gu Huiyan has become so popular now, it's not that he is not worthy of Pei Jingshu. But she definitely can't let her sister be the love brain for nothing. Everyone knows that Gu Huiyan is talented and sings a few more songs. If they break up in the future, at least Pei Jingshu will be in trouble, right? There is nothing wrong with thinking like this, she is doing it for Pei Jingshu's own good. However, after hearing this, Pei Jingshu frowned tightly. She never understands why her sister always treats her love as a business and resource replacement. Is she a commodity? Pei Yan naturally expected that Pei Jingshu would not agree, so she did not let Pei Jingshu say it. Instead, she privately asked her assistant to express this intention to Gu Huiyan. If this kid was sensible, he would know what to do. At this time, Gu Huiyan and the others had already got off the bus, walked a few hundred meters, passed an intersection, and came to a breakfast shop selling fried dough sticks. When he first heard that he was going to eat fried dough sticks, actor Su felt a little nervous. He still remembered that when crystal love season was in Yunnan, Gu Huiyan used fried dough sticks to create pancake fruit and cucumber mixed with deep fried dough sticks. Son. Looking at this posture, is this kid going to take him to eat fried dough sticks and tofu? Which city doesn't have this thing? Is this also a characteristic of your city? At that time, Su Yuntang was complaining. Unexpectedly, when I arrived at the place, I found that the fried dough sticks shop was full of people of all ages and there was a queue. Gu Huiyan explained that this is an old store that has been open for more than 30 years. It sells not only ordinary fried dough sticks, but also egg buns and the like. The most distinctive ones are their sugar fried dough sticks and sweet foam, which are not available elsewhere. For breakfast, you have to come to a place full of fireworks. Only then did Su Yuntang recognize Gu Huiyan. At least when it came to food, Gu Huiyan didn't just look for it and was careful. The local people are very enthusiastic. Many people will greet them when they recognize them. There are also many people taking pictures with their mobile phones. I often hear people say which drama they like by Siren, which movie by Su Yuntang they like, which song by Gu Huiyan. What's very funny is that an old man shook hands with Su Yuntang and said, "I always liked the TV series you acted in. That gangster looks so similar." He was talking about a villain played by Su Yuntang a few years ago. When Su Yuntang heard these words, the corner of his mouth twitched crazily. Ah ha ha ha. The audience laughed like crazy. Many local people speak dialects. Xilan and Su Yuntang were quite serious when they answered, all in Mandarin. Once they arrived at Gu Huiyan, they directly and seamlessly switched to Shandong dialect to talk to those people. Let's just say that Shandong dialect really has an impact on appearance. Everyone wants to say, "Gu Huiyan, why don't you speak Mandarin and stop torturing us?" Ding, the host has successfully grounded himself and gained exposure, and the points are at 91x20. Because of a dialect, Gu Huiyan has gained several waves of system points. It is worth mentioning that when the old man went to buy fried dough sticks, he always spoke in dialect when he communicated with the boss. "Uncle, I can have 2 bowls of sweet foam." At first glance, he looks like an authentic local. Regarding this scene, although some people say that it affects the appearance, it is not good looking, but some people also say. Actually, I feel that Gu Huiyan is really down to earth like this. Many people are unwilling to speak dialects even in the local area. They feel like they are disgusted. I'm from Shandong. I have a friend who stayed in the capital for a while. When he came back, he looked down on our dialect. He told us how tall and classy the native speakers were in our dialect. It's disgusting. Some people pretend to be high-minded. Although he is an out-and-out local, he still has to speak Mandarin to communicate with each other, making him look like a lowly person by speaking in a dialect. Especially the Shandong dialect, which is famous for its earth, is disliked by many local people. But Gu Huiyan is not like this. Even if he is on the show, together with Xilan and Su Yuntang, in front of dozens of millions of viewers online at the same time, in his own hometown, communicating with locals, should he speak in dialect? Speaking in tongues? He doesn't think there's anything vulgar or embarrassing at all. Every place has its own customs and culture, and the dialects in every place have their historical origins. It's just that now Mandarin is designated as the language of normal communication, and everyone can understand it. Does not mean that dialects are bad or wrong. From novels to adulthood, the words I would say when communicating with my family are correct everywhere. Maybe it was because Gu Huayan spoke the local dialect so smoothly that the mature sister Xylan couldn't help but ask. How about you also teach me a few local dialects? I'll post the 2 chapters before I changed them in the group. Participating in a love show, this little guy is too down to earth. Author, Buletin Shi Swan Shi Shui Xian. Chapter 210. As soon as Xylan said this, before Gu Huayan could answer, the barrage had exploded. Don't. Sister. Don't. I can't even imagine Sister Xylan speaking in Shandong dialect. Come here. Escort. Protect my filter on Xylan. Gulalu, you must dare to teach labor and management to fight with you. It is almost universally known on the internet that speaking Shandong Hui has a great impact on appearance. A certain well-known actor, the senior who plays Erlang Shen, usually speaks with a Wandao accent, and when he opens his mouth, he speaks Shandong dialect. Good guy, you will feel like a different person immediately. It feels like the gap between his teeth is really big. Erlang Shen has lost his magic power. Female netizens in the comment area all said that they felt that the male god was no longer good enough for her. Xylan is a professional actor, a well-known movie queen, and a red carpet goddess. She once shone in international film festivals. Even if she doesn't actively promote it, her status is very high in everyone's hearts. Many people feel like their filters for the goddess are shattered just when they think of the scene of her speaking in Shandong dialect. Okay. Looking around, the comment area soon became like this. Gu Huayan, your uncle. You speak your sister's dialect. I'm a local, and I felt very friendly when I first heard Gu Huayan speaking in dialect. When I heard that he said he wanted to teach Sister Xylan, I immediately felt that he was wrong about speaking in dialect. He was totally wrong. It's all Gu Huayan's fault. Your uncle, beep beep beep. Even the locals started to curse in the comment area. It was another day when Gu Huayan was reported online every day. I'm quite interested too. The actor Su Yuntang took a water glass from his assistant, poured a glass of it slowly, and placed it in front of Xylan. He is quite an authentic person. He has recently been doing shows and traveling all over the country. Everywhere he goes, he learns a few dialects and sometimes uses them in filming. A good actor must adapt to various environments, and Su Yuntang still has nothing to say about dedication. Are you sure you want to learn? Gu Huayan scratched his head and didn't know what to say. Let's learn, what's the point? Xylan gently handed the glass of water from Su Yuntang to Gu Huayan and said. Anyway, idle is idle. The boss over there couldn't sell it, so they happened to be waiting. Gu Huayan thought for a while, then casually pushed the glass of water that Sister Xylan pushed over to the actor Su, and said with a smile. Let me teach you a simplified version of Shandong dialect, so that I won't lead you astray. Okay. Xylan brushed back the messy hair on her temples and raised her hand to hold up the gold-rimmed glasses in front of her eyes. When her sister pursed her lips, it was like killing her. The actor Su silently picked up the water that returned to him, took a sip, pretended that nothing happened, and looked at Gu Huayan with a smile. When the two people's eyes and cameras were on Gu Huayan began to teach them. Come on, you guys chant with me. I. Xylan and Su Yuntang continued to pronounce I. Gu Huayan, no. Two people, no. Gu Huayan, listen. Two people, listen. Omitted here, it probably means I didn't hear you clearly, say it again, which is appropriate. Gu Huayan, all over. Two people, all over. Xylan and Su Yuntang followed Gu Huiyan's words. They both frowned at the same time and looked at each other. Then they looked at Gu Huiyan with amused and confused faces. Movie Emperor Su said. It's no different from Mandarin. After they read it over and over, it felt like they were speaking Mandarin. Are you kidding us? Siren rolled her eyes at him and said. Are you happy teasing your sister? It feels like Gu Huiyan is like teaching children how to read. No, don't worry. Gu Huiyan laughed and said. Do you believe that this sentence just now sums it up in one word in our local dialect? Ah. After hearing this, Xylan and Su Yuntang were both stunned. Is this Shandong dialect so magical? It can be summarized in 9 words in one word? What the hell? Which word? My sister asked curiously and enthusiastically. Hey hey hey. At this time, some diners who also came to buy breakfast were very happy. Obviously, they must know the word. Puff. The audience also laughed like crazy. Some Shandong locals in the comment area couldn't help but express. Gu Huiyan, are you trying to laugh me to death so you can inherit my inheritance? No, I didn't understand. Didn't you Shandong learn the same Chinese as I learned? How can one word summarize 9 words? He, I can only say that you will never be able to understand the profoundness of Shandong dialect in this life. So what is the word? You just have to look at it. I'll tell you, it's, an. Ah. The local people in the comment area are very funny. Many people don't tell the outsiders, but there are also many people who are warm-hearted. The word "an" began to appear in the comment area. At first, many people didn't know what was going on, and they thought it was Gu Huiyan's name. Until Gu Huiyan explained. Come and recite haha with me. Gu Huiyan suppressed a smile and said. An. Su Yuntang and Xylan. The two of them had question marks on their faces. What is the pronunciation of this? An. The sisters' beautifully painted eyebrows slightly raised, imitating Gu Huiyan's tone, and pronounced the pronunciation of what Gu Huiyan said in a questioning tone. At the time, it felt weird. It sounds strange when I read it out to myself. Puff. At that time, some people around me were happy, and then many people in the barrage area also looked confused. No, why does this sum it up? Local, let me explain. For example, if I say something to you and you don't hear it clearly, try answering me like this. Wak, don't say it, it seems that it really means something like that. What the hell? Ding, the host's grounding energy has been exposed, and the points are at 91x20. This pronunciation is very funny. Gu Huiyan also explained this to Xylan and Su Yuntang. He told Xylan that it was like I said something to you but you didn't hear it clearly. How about you try to answer me with this? An. Then Siren answered like this. After answering. Pook. She laughed herself, and her sister couldn't help but raise her beautiful hand to hold her forehead silently, arrange her hair by the way, and couldn't help laughing. It really smells like that. The actor Su had a dumbfounded expression on his face. I don't know why. Listening to Xylan's pronunciation just now and pretending to be a local, why did he feel that Xylan's filter was a little off? This Shandong dialect is really a killer. No one can destroy the filter with just one word. Gu Huiyan said he was addicted, and then the boss just finished frying the fried dough sticks and brought them to them. Gu Huiyan said to Su Yuntang. Brother, you can try what I just said. Su Yuntang waved his hands repeatedly. How could he do such a thing? On the other hand, it was Xylan. She looked at the boss who came over with sweet fritters with interest. She waited for the boss to put down their breakfast and said. You're all fine now. Then Siren said. And. The boss was stunned, glanced at Xylan, and then at their camera, and then raised his voice and said. I said all the food you ordered is provided. Puff. Gu Huiyan clapped his hands beside him and was laughing from ear to ear, and some people around him were also laughing. Xylin also had the same expression on her face as if she had seen a miracle. Her exotic and pretty face was filled with disbelief, as if to say, this actually works. Locals can actually get it? This is amazing. Then there were a few young people who also came here to check in or have breakfast. They couldn't stand it anymore. A girl named Gu Huiyan said. Gu Huiyan, you have bags under your eyes, don't teach Sister Xylin this, I feel like my filter is broken for her. As soon as these words came out. Ha ha ha. Provoked a burst of laughter. In fact, it doesn't matter if outsiders just say the word according to its pronunciation, but the locals basically know what the pronunciation means, and the locals can easily relate to Xylin's feeling when she said this. Because this is obviously something local people can use anytime and anywhere in their daily life. Pa bang. Gu Huiyan laughed and clapped. Seeing everyone around her laughing, Xylin couldn't hold back. She thought something had happened to them. Are you kidding me? Xylin couldn't help but slap Gu Huiyan, who was laughing over there, feeling helpless. But there is one thing to say, this little brother who is smiling from ear to ear and jumping on his feet is so energetic. No, I really wasn't teasing you. I have restrained myself. Gu Huiyan explained, if I really teach you a few words in Shandong dialect, then your filter will be really broken. Gu Huiyan also said, do you know why those who are filming now speak Chongqing dialect and Northeast dialect, but not Shandong dialect? As soon as you say it, you will immediately feel like a different person. Although I don't understand it, I'm very shocked. Xylin giggled as she listened to Gu Huiyan's words. The two of them didn't even have much breakfast, so they only exchanged Shandong dialect there. Movie King Su. Aim. He was watching from the side, it's so uncomfortable to be called one. His teeth were so heavy when he ate the fried dough sticks that some people who didn't know thought he was chewing Gu Huiyan as if they were fried dough sticks. But don't tell me, the sugar fried dough sticks here are quite delicious. Su Yuntang rarely eats such greasy things. Recently, he was filming a show and eating delicacies from all over the world, so he didn't pay much attention to it. It is precisely because I eat less that I know how fragrant this fried food is. While eating the fried dough sticks, he was very interested in the sweet foam. He took a bite, but then he frowned and said, isn't this sweet foam? Why is it salty? Su Yuntang was quite curious before, because there were spinach, peanuts, vermicelli, and so on in it, so he was very curious about how a breakfast drink with these things could be sweet. Before drinking it, he was mentally prepared that it was sweet. Who knew it was salty? Don't you mean Tianmo? Why is it so salty? This is called Wuxiang Tianfo. Gu Huiyan explained that it is said that this sweet foam originated from the famine in the late Ming dynasty. A boss named Tian opened a porridge shop and often gave out porridge to the victims. Because the boss's surname was Tian, the victims affectionately called him Tian Mo. Later, because it was for food, Tian became sweet as it was passed around. There is also a saying that the shop owner will ask the customer before serving the porridge, can you please add more? Many people call it Tianmo or Tian, and Tian have the same pronunciation. It was passed around and eventually became Tian Mo. Oh. After hearing this history, Su Yuntang nodded and showed respect for the boss named Tian. Gu Huiyan also took the sweet foam and explained. There are a lot of ingredients in this sweet foam. I just couldn't eat at that time, so all kinds of ingredients were thrown in. I added salt and pepper. It's full of flavor and makes people feel energetic after eating it. You see, this one is more viscous and there will be foam on it. I drank this for the first time when I was a child. My mother told me that at that time, every time the victims brought a bowl of porridge, the first thing they saw was the porridge maker. The white foam in the cauldron. So this is not called porridge, but foam. Don't tell me, Gu Huiyan really has a way. This thing really makes him talk. The comment area is full of comments. If you learn nothing, you will learn nothing. Actor Su nodded, took another sip, and couldn't help but say, I feel like I drank a little better after hearing this story. Gu Huiyan grinned when he heard this and said, that's not a big deal. Ha ha. It made Xilan and some passers-by laugh. There is a saying that Gu Huiyan is also a complete little master of anti-hypocrisy. At least our origin is not dirty. Gu Huiyan grinned and said, you're not like that, army pot. Even if you know its origin, you might not dare to eat it. As soon as these words came out. Puff. Ha ha ha. Many netizens couldn't help but laugh like crazy. Everyone was saying that they were going to be fans of Gu Huiyan just for saying this. Puff. What's funny is that Sister Xilan was drinking sweet foam. Gu Huiyan's words made her so happy that she almost sprayed the sweet foam on her body. She was wearing all white today, and it would be troublesome if it got on her body. She couldn't help but roll her eyes at Gu Huiyan, then raised her hand and patted Gu Huiyan several times. Gu Huiyan didn't take it seriously. He chatted while eating, and even talked to Su Yuntang about the bean juice in Beijing. He asked Su Yuntang if he could drink it. He didn't directly say that the stuff didn't taste good. The main thing was that he could directly scold the black dog and the stick for eating garbage, but he couldn't directly open fire on his own family. It's not bad. It tastes good. Can't you drink it? Su Yuntang still asked. Gu Huiyan didn't rush to answer but instead asked Sister Xilan. Xilan pursed her lips and smiled slightly and said, as for that, people who like sour food can usually drink it. Sister Xilan, do you like drinking acid? Gu Huiyan obviously heard the overtone of Xilan's words. My sister picked up a paper towel and wiped the food residue on her mouth. A lot of red lipstick marks were left on the white paper towel. She smiled and said, I don't like sour drinks. As soon as these words came out. Are you two singing double recitals here? The audience was all happy. Let's just say that Xilan's emotional intelligence is second to none. She didn't even say directly if she didn't like drinking. After all, Gu Huiyan's emotional intelligence class was not in vain. He actually got what Xilan said. A fan of Gu Huiyan's family said, whoever said that the leader of our family has low emotional intelligence, I will be the first to fall out with you. Having said that, the two of them were chatting happily, but the corner of the actor Su's mouth couldn't help but twitch a few times. Well, he can drink it, Xilan can't drink it, and Gu Huiyan can't drink it either? Are the three of them forming a clique? Go crazy. The actor Su Mo held his forehead and said to himself that it was lucky that I learned a few tricks. He directly used his ultimate move to change the subject and asked Gu Huiyan with this sweet foam. Do you usually drink this? I don't drink often. Gu Huiyan shook his head and replied. I actually don't go to the city very often. My home is far away from the city. What we sell there is more tofu curd, soy milk, spicy soup, and so on. Su Yuntang nodded, but before he could continue to ask, Xilan suddenly smiled and said. Then you eat tofu with coriander. Then I won't let you go. It's not like you don't know. Gu Huiyan shook his head. He had made it clear many times before when he was recording Crystal Love Season with Xilan and the others in Yunnan that he didn't eat coriander. In his eyes, this stuff was no different than poison. I remember Sister Xilan, you don't eat either, right? Gu Huiyan suddenly thought of it. I remember that at that time, the actor Su made a dish that was garnished with coriander. Everyone else picked it up and ate it directly, but Gu Huiyan and Xilan specially picked it out and put it aside. Right. The elder sister pursed her lips and smiled softly. She lifted up the pair of gold-rimmed glasses with her slender hands again. To be honest, she didn't like wearing them very much. They were a bit loose and could easily fall off. So Gu Huiyan started to complain. He really didn't understand the mentality of people who eat coriander. The taste of that thing is really deadly. My sister chuckled and echoed, occasionally expressing a few words. Cough. Actor Su really couldn't stand listening anymore and couldn't help coughing and said, "There's another cilantro eater here, how about you two spray it gently?" As soon as these words came out. Ha ha ha. Many viewers laughed like crazy at once. The best actor Sushi was miserable. As soon as he heard that Gu Huiyan and Xylan wanted to talk about the common topic of not drinking soybean juice, they immediately changed the topic. However, they turned around and started talking about not eating coriander. It made him drink bean juice and eat coriander, and he looked like a special kind of person. He just wanted to say, at least you should pay attention to the feelings of the people around you. He. Sorry. Gu Huiyan and Xylan quickly expressed their apologies. Su Yuntang suddenly became curious, so he asked Gu Huiyan, "So why can't you eat coriander?" This problem has troubled him for a long time. In fact, people who like to eat coriander like it very much, and those who don't like it make them want to vomit when they smell it. He is the kind of person who likes coriander very much. When he used to eat hot pot, he always cooked it with coriander. This question is not only curious to the actor Su, but also to many people who like to eat coriander in the comment area. Regarding this, Siren was non-committal, maybe she hadn't figured out how to express it yet. Gu Huiyan grinned and then asked Su Yuntang a very funny question. He said, "Brother, you know there is a kind of bug called stinky sister, right?"